Chapter 520. Even Nicholas looked at Ming Shi with disdain. He felt that Ming Shi was a prince who didn't know what was going on. To say such big words when the enemy was strong and he was weak, he was simply brainless. It seemed that this immature Moon Emperor wasn't that great after all. You can try and see if I can kill you. Ming Shi didn't say anything else and only replied with this sentence. Feng Tianjiao stepped forward and said, "Your Highness, you can't steal my words. Feng Tianqing's life is mine. Since the day my mother died, I swore that I would kill Feng Tianqing. Feng Tianjiao, since we were young, you have plotted against me many times. I haven't settled the score with you yet, but you came running here yourself." Feng Tianqing looked at her sister coldly. The two of them didn't have any sisterly affection since they were young. Not only that, they were like fire and water. When her mother was alive, she only loved her sister. After her mother died, her father and brother doted on her. She thought that Feng Tianjiao would be jealous that she was doted on by her father and brother. However, when she looked at Feng Tianjiao, she found that Feng Tianjiao's eyes didn't have a trace of envy. Not to mention jealousy. There was only killing intent in her eyes. Feng Tianjiao really wanted to kill her. It seemed that after her mother died, she wasn't interested in anything other than killing her. She didn't even care about her father and brother. Mother's last wish was to kill you, a jinx, and protect the glory of the Feng family. I promised my mother that I would kill you, and I won't go back on my words. If you didn't hide in the Blood Moon Forest, I would have already killed you. She knew that the reason Feng Tianqing hid in the Blood Moon Forest was to avoid her assassination. However, her father and brother thought that she had even killed her own sister and were completely disappointed in her. They kept her in the ancient eastern country and sent people to monitor her every move. Once they found out that she had any intention of leaving the ancient eastern country, they would immediately send people to capture her. That was why Feng Tianqing was able to live freely in the Blood Moon Forest for so many years. Mother. Just because of that woman's words, you hated me and chased me for so many years. You even chased me to the Blood Clan's castle to kill me. Sister Tianjiao, you are still as impulsive as when you were young. With such an unlikable personality, it's no wonder that other than that woman, father and brother don't like you. Do you think I care whether they like me or not? After so many years, I thought you would have understood long ago. Feng Tianjiao said. In your heart, you really only care about that woman. You don't care about anyone else. Feng Tianqing shook her head and sighed. Because she didn't care, she didn't get the pleasure of taking revenge on her sister through her father and brother. Tianqing, that's our mother. You actually called her that woman. If father finds out, he definitely won't forgive you. Feng Tianqing helped Ajur and Feng Juntian up from the ground. Mother. That woman wasn't my mother. Which mother would want to kill her own daughter? Even after she died, she still left behind a will for Feng Tianjiao to kill me. Fortunately, you and father didn't believe Feng Tianjiao's words. If you did, I wouldn't be alive now. Ming Shi and the others stood at the side and listened for a long time. They finally understood a little. The old madam of the Feng family had already given the order to take her second daughter's life. There was actually a mother who wanted to kill her own daughter. That old madam of the Feng family was also a ruthless character. Not everyone would be able to do something to their own child. Even if she really divined that their child was a jinx, how many parents would be able to do it? Should it be said that she was indeed worthy of being the madam of the family? She was decisive and didn't show any mercy. If the old man of the Feng family and Feng Tianqing were able to do it back then, there probably wouldn't be today's matter. Ming Shi and the others sighed in their hearts. They didn't expect that although the Feng family was simple, such a thing would happen within the family. So mother really did leave behind a will for us to kill you. When Feng Tianjiao said that her mother had left behind such a will, he and father didn't believe it. They only thought that Tianjiao didn't want Tianqing to stay and share her love, so she said a malicious lie. They didn't expect it to be true. Was it because he and father didn't believe Tianjiao back then that things turned out like this? Feng Tianqing smiled bitterly. If they had killed Feng Tianqing earlier, so many innocent people wouldn't have died. Just like what their mother said, Feng Tianqing was indeed the jinx of the Feng family. She did say that. Didn't Feng Tianjiao also tell you? It's you who didn't believe it. Back then, the father and son of the Feng family stood in front of her unwaveringly to protect her. It really touched her, but so what? Their family owed her everything. They were both her daughters. Feng Tianjiao was the daughter of heaven, and she was the jinx of the Feng family. Since they all said that she was a jinx, then she would be a jinx for them to see. She would destroy everything in the Feng family just like that woman said. Didn't that woman say that she would destroy the Feng family? Then she would destroy it for her to see. Yes, father, and I didn't believe it. It was too late to believe it now. Dear, don't talk nonsense with them. Let's do it. Nicholas wasn't interested in watching these people talk endlessly. These people were all his daughter's blood food. There was no need to talk so much nonsense with a few blood food. I'll listen to you, dear. Feng Tianqing turned around and smiled affectionately at Nicholas. Nicholas looked up to the sky and roared. He wanted to call the other blood breeds to capture these intruders, but he realized that no matter how he shouted, not a single one of his subordinates came to respond. What did you do? Nicholas' handsome face was ashen. He was sure that there was no battle outside. If there was a fight outside, it was impossible for him to not notice it. The blood breeds were the most sensitive to blood. Once the smell of blood wafted out, it was impossible for him not to notice it. I just set up a barrier so that the blood breeds outside won't notice the abnormality here. Ming Shi said calmly. As expected of the Moon Emperor who has the strongest barrier power. He actually managed to set up this barrier without alerting me. Nicholas's eyes were filled with killing intent. The blood breeds had been trapped by a barrier for tens of thousands of years. Nicholas had always been disgusted by barriers. Ming Shi dared to use the barrier power in front of him. Naturally, Nicholas wanted to kill him. Xiao Wu, go to the back and take care of Uncle Feng. He patted the girl's head and said softly. Feng Wu nodded and obediently walked to Feng Tianqing's side. The atmosphere between the two sides was tense. A big battle was unavoidable. The first to make a move was Feng Tianjiao. Feng Tianjiao held a long sword and faced Feng Tianqing. The sisters immediately started fighting. Feng Tianjiao's talent was higher than Feng Tianqing's. Because she had never given up on killing Feng Tianqing, she had been cultivating diligently. Feng Tianqing's strength was no weaker than her brother Feng Tianqing's. On the other hand, Feng Tianqing had lived in the Blood Moon Forest for a long time. He had been baptized by blood and had the guidance of a famous teacher. Although he was slightly weaker than Feng Tianjiao, the difference wasn't too big. If Feng Tianjiao wanted to take down Feng Tianqing, it wasn't something that could be done in a short time. Nicholas attacked Ming Shi at this moment. Ming Shi was the future Moon Emperor of the human race. He was very important to the human race. Such a person naturally became Nicholas's main target. Skycliff instantly went forward to help Ming Shi fight against the Blood Breed Prince. Ming Shi's hand hadn't fully recovered yet. The Blood Moon Forest's enchantment had been broken, and Moon King had to reinforce the Demon World seal. Therefore, only the future Moon King, Ming Shi, could come. Ming Shi's hand was still recovering. In order to stop the blood breeds from entering the Heavenly Wind continent, Ming Shi still carried his injured hand outside of the Blood Moon Forest. Skycliff knew that Ming Shi's hand hadn't fully recovered. Naturally, he had to protect him. He used his Ice Sword intent and Slaughter Sword intent to fight the Blood Breed Prince. Skycliff's talent in swordsmanship was obvious to all. Even the teachers in the school said that he was the most talented student in swordsmanship in the entire school. The Blood Kindred Grand Princes had the strength of a human warlock saint. Although Ming Shi and Tianye were still weaker than the Blood Kindred Grand Princes, the two of them were not at a disadvantage when they fought together. On the other hand, Feng Yanran and Aubrey stared nervously at Ajur, who hadn't made a move yet. As the third seat of the fourth year, Aubrey was naturally not weak. After discovering that Ajur was only a second-year student, he heaved a sigh of relief. If he was at his peak, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of a second-year student. However, he was still injured and couldn't fight at all. If he fought with Ajur now, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Aubrey was afraid that they would take the opportunity to attack Feng Yanran, so he pulled Feng Yanran further away from Feng Wu and the others. He was afraid that Ajur would suddenly rush over. Ajur was too lazy to make a move against Feng Yanran and the others. Although Feng Yanran had the potential to become the Blood Emperor, she was still a weakling. As for Aubrey, he was seriously injured. These two people weren't worth his time. Ajur's main task was to protect Feng Wu and her family. He wouldn't take the initiative to find trouble with Feng Yanran and the others. Feng Tianjiao's every move was ruthless. It was obvious how strong her killing intent was. This woman had made killing Feng Tianqing her life goal since she was young. For this goal, she had sacrificed a lot. With her current strength, she was like a stranger to her only father and brother. Although things had turned out like this, she didn't regret it. As for Feng Tianqing, she had lived under the shadow of being killed by her mother and sister since she was young. Even if she received all the love from her father and brother, it couldn't stop her from feeling uneasy. In order to survive and not be killed by her sister, she had worked harder than others since she was young. This was why she had the strength she had today. These two women both wanted to kill each other. Every move was filled with killing intent, and every sword was aimed at a vital point. Chapter 521. As for Feng Tianqing, she had been living under the shadow of being killed by her mother and sister since she was young. Even after receiving all the love from her father and brother, she still couldn't stop the uneasiness in her heart. In order to survive and not be killed by her sister, she had been working harder than others since she was young. That was why she had the strength she had today. These two women both wanted to kill each other. Every move was filled with murderous intent, and every strike was aimed at a vital point. Ming Shi and Skycliffe were also in a tough battle. Ming Shi's hand wasn't completely healed, which affected his strength. Although Skycliffe was a once-in-a-century sword genius, he still had a lot of room for improvement due to his age. The two of them were able to hold their own in the beginning, but as time went on, the battle became more and more difficult. Ajur, go help them. Feng Wu pulled Ajur's hand and said, "What will you do if I go?" Ajur was worried, afraid that Feng Yanran would secretly do something bad. "Don't worry, I'm here," Feng Wu said seriously. "Okay, Uncle Feng, you guys be careful," Ajur said before leaping towards Ming Shi and Skycliffe to join the battle. Ajur was worried that removing the seal would attract the attention of the vampires after entering the vampires' territory, so he had already removed the seal on his forehead before entering this place. Holding Song Yen, Ajur joined the battle. With the addition of Ajur, Ming Shi and Skycliffe immediately felt more relaxed. Ajur was the inheritor of the divine seal, and he was the inheritor of the seal of summer. The power of the seal of summer had a great suppressive effect on the vampires. This time, it was Nicholas' turn to be passive. Nicholas was indeed a prince of the vampires. Even when surrounded by three geniuses, he was still in an invincible position. The battle between the three of them wouldn't end any time soon. Feng Tianqing and Feng Tianjiao's situation wasn't so optimistic. Both of them had injuries on their bodies, and Feng Tianqing's injuries were more serious. However, Feng Tianjiao didn't get the upper hand either. The two women were covered in blood and looked terrifying. Even so, they still fought with their lives. They were determined to kill the other party to prevent future troubles. Feng Tianqing and his son couldn't fight at this moment, so they could only stand aside like outsiders. "Is His Highness Ming Shi all right?" "Nothing must happen to His Highness," Feng Juntian muttered worriedly. "With the holy emissary of Xia here, they should be fine. Xia's power can suppress all evil beings. His red lotus fire has the power to burn and purify. With Ajur's red lotus fire, they should be fine." Feng Tianqing was indeed a senior. He could understand the crux of the matter with just one look. "If only we could recover our strength. We wouldn't have to stand here like trash, unable to do anything." Feng Juntian muttered in frustration. After recovering her strength, Feng Wu tilted her head. She used her consciousness to communicate with pure flame. After communicating with pure flame for a long time, she finally managed to borrow a bit of strength. The father and son were talking when they didn't expect Fengwu to suddenly grab their hands. Originally, they were afraid of Fengwu, but gradually, they felt the strength in their bodies slowly returning. After a few breaths, their bodies had completely recovered to their peak. This sudden change made the father and son somewhat unable to believe it. The blood race's medicine being ineffective on Fengwu could be explained by Fengwu's special physique. But now, Fengwu could even cure the medicine in their bodies. This was a little inconceivable. After recovering their strength, the father and son didn't say anything else. One of them wanted to help Ming Shi, while the other wanted to help Feng Tianjiao. When Feng Tianjiao saw Feng Juntian coming to help, she immediately shouted that she didn't need anyone's help. She had to kill Feng Tianqing with her own hands. Feng Juntian had no choice but to join the team to deal with Nicholas. Nicholas was very strong, but unfortunately, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. With the addition of the Feng father and son, the pressure on Ming Shi's side decreased. Under the cooperation of the few people, Nicholas suffered quite a few injuries. His originally exquisite black clothes were pierced with several large holes, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Ming Shi's God's blood and Ajur's Xiaoji's Strength of Summer were very effective against Nicholas. He couldn't use his ultimate move even if he wanted to, so he could only be surrounded and attacked. Finally, Feng Tianjiao's side ended the battle first. She stabbed her sword into Feng Tianqing's heart. This sword was very deep, and Feng Tianqing looked down at the sword in his chest in pain. She didn't even have time to say her last words before she died in Feng Tianjiao's hands. "Mother!" Feng Yanran screamed in horror and staggered to Feng Tianqing's body. Feng Tianqing's body no longer had any signs of life. Even if they wanted to save him, they couldn't. Hearing that his lover had been killed, Nicholas let out a long cry of pain. He wanted to beat everyone back and rush to his lover's side. "Father, they killed Mother." Feng Yanran hugged her mother's body and cried. Aubrey hugged her shoulders and comforted her silently. "How dare you kill my lover? I'll kill you all." Nicholas forcibly activated the forbidden technique, wanting to kill Ming Shi and the others to avenge his lover. The bloody light on Nicholas's body shone brightly. This bloody light soared into the sky, and the barrier set up by Ming Shi was broken. It was impossible for the enchantment to seal this place forever. As time passed, the power of the enchantment would weaken. When Nicholas was determined to break through, he naturally broke through. As soon as the power of the barrier was broken, the blood breeds in all directions felt how angry their prince was. What happened to make their prince so angry? A long cry appeared in the sky above the entire Blood Moon forest. The blood breeds who heard this immediately ran toward the blood breed castle. Someone actually went to the blood breed castle and offended their prince. It was simply unforgivable. Blood breeds from all directions kept rushing over. Ming Shi and the others' expressions changed instantly. "Let's go." After leaving the battlefield, Ming Shi shouted in a low voice. This was no longer the time to fight. The blood breeds kept rushing over. If they didn't leave now, they would all die in this place. After Feng Tianqing and his son retreated, one grabbed Feng Tianjiao and the other wanted to pull Fengwu. Unexpectedly, Ming Shi had already pulled Fengwu firmly. The group of people ran out of the castle. "Rest and leave." With a loud shout, Nicholas leaped up and chased after Ming Shi and the others. There were many vampires gathered outside the castle, and Nicholas was chasing after them. It was almost impossible for them to escape from here. Ajur had Red Lotus brazed a path and led the way in front. The others followed closely behind. Feng Tianqing supported Feng Tianjiao and followed behind. "Put me down. You won't be able to escape if you bring me along," Feng Tianjiao said. She was calm now. Her wish for many years had finally come true. She had successfully killed the Feng clan's jinx, Feng Tianqing. She finally had an explanation for her mother. She did what her mother asked her to do. She had no regrets in this life. Even if she died now, it would be worth it. "What nonsense are you saying? You are our Feng clan's daughter. I am the clan leader and your brother. How could I leave you behind? Feng Tianqing didn't listen and walked forward with Feng Tianjiao. I've suffered too many injuries. Although I've already drunk the medicine to stop the bleeding, the smell of blood on my wounds and the smell of my clothes will attract the blood breeds. Put me down. Feng Tianqing said. No, I don't have a sister anymore. I can't let anything happen to you. Feng Tianqing shook his head firmly. When he found out the truth, Feng Tianqing felt very guilty towards this younger sister of his. Because of his and his father's distrust, she could only complete her mother's last wish alone. She was also secretly suppressed by him and his father, afraid that she would find trouble with Tianqing if she got the chance. Even if it happened all over again, he and his father wouldn't believe it. After all, for a mother to want to kill her own daughter, it was too unbelievable. No one would believe Tian Jiao's words. If they had given Tian Jiao a little bit of trust, even if they didn't kill Tianqing, if they just strictly disciplined him and didn't let him leave the Feng clan, would the fates of his two sisters be different? No one could tell him the answer to all of this. He could only look at his sister with guilt and heartache. Feng Tianqing wasn't willing to leave Feng Tianjiao behind no matter what. The blood on Feng Tianjiao's body was like a signpost, constantly attracting the blood breeds around to kill them. Fortunately, the red lotus fire in Ajur's hands was powerful enough. Along the way, many blood breeds died in the fire. They were already afraid of the fire blood breeds and didn't dare to recklessly throw their lives away. At this time, Nicholas had also caught up. Nicholas, who descended from the sky, looked at the humans in front of him with hatred. They were the ones who killed the woman he loved deeply. Although Feng Tianqing was a human, Nicholas truly loved Feng Tianqing. These people killed the woman he loved the most. How could he not hate them? Today, none of you will leave here alive. All of you will become food for my daughter. Without the restriction of the barrier, Nicholas's strength was fully unleashed. Ming Shi and the others were once again in a tough battle. This time, not only did they have to deal with Nicholas, but they also had to deal with the other blood breeds. The situation could be said to be a mess. Feng Wu took out a pure sword from the space. This was the first time she took out a pure sword since Xiao Chun had advanced. Xiao Chun had already fallen into a deep sleep. When it woke up, it would only be stronger than now. Now that the pure sword didn't have a sword spirit to control it, its power wasn't as strong as before. Although the pure sword couldn't kill the blood breeds, it could still restrain them. With the addition of Feng Wu's pure sword, everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Feng Wu's pure sword and Ajur's staff were both divine weapons. When the two divine weapons unleashed their power, they caused a lot of damage to the blood breeds around them. The only one who wasn't affected was Nicholas. As the prince of the blood breeds, Nicholas wasn't that easy to defeat. Although the divine weapons could restrain him, the blood breeds had an innate advantage in speed. As long as they missed, the damage to him would be minimized. Chapter 522. With the addition of Feng Wu's pure sword, everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Feng Wu's pure sword and Ajur's staff were both divine weapons. When the two divine weapons unleashed their power, they caused a lot of damage to the surrounding vampires. The only one who wasn't affected was Nicholas. As the Blood Kindred's prince, Nicholas wasn't that easy to defeat. Although the divine artifact could restrain him, the Blood Kindred's speed was their innate advantage. As long as they missed, the damage to him would be minimized. Nicholas was not weak. His attacks were fast and powerful. Feng Tianqing, Feng Tianjiao, and Feng Juntian were all injured by him. Feng Wu had the pure sword to protect her body. Apart from a few minor injuries, she did not suffer any serious injuries. The few of them continued to fight. No one noticed that the baby had returned to Feng Wu's head and was mumbling something. It seemed to be chanting some ancient incantation. Finally, after chanting the last part of the incantation, Ming Shi and the others disappeared before the eyes of the vampires. Bao Bao had activated an ancient teleportation scroll. This scroll was prepared for Ming Shi and the others. After activating the scroll, it could teleport everyone marked to their original position. Although this scroll was useful, it required too much time to activate. Unfortunately, they were in a rush and could not find a better one, so they could only use this one. Bao Bao spent a lot of time marking everyone, and activating the scroll took about a quarter of an hour. If not for Bao Bao's small size, no one would have noticed it. Who would use a teleportation scroll that required a lot of time and had no other advantages other than being able to teleport people over a long distance? Just activating it took so long. If someone really activated it in a moment of crisis, they would be cheated to death. Following this light, Ming Shi and the others disappeared. Nicholas roared in dissatisfaction, but it was useless. No matter how he sent people to search, they could not find Ming Shi and the others. At this moment, in a human camp not far away from Bloody Moon Forest, a large group of people were helping those who had just been teleported into the only house on the upper floor. Those who were injured were treated, and those who were not injured were taken away to report what had happened. Everyone was in an uproar when they found out that Feng Tianqing was actually a spy for the Blood Kindred. The dignified Feng family's legitimate daughter actually ran over to be a spy for the Blood Kindred. This was too unbelievable. She already had such a high status. What else could she possibly want by doing this? Later, it was said that Feng Yanran was actually the daughter of the Blood Kindred Prince and Feng Tianqing. The whole school was in an uproar. There was actually a human who gave birth to a descendant of the Blood Kindred. Moreover, the descendant of the Blood Clan was a noble lady. This was simply the biggest scandal in the aristocratic circle. Although Feng Tianqing had died at the hands of another daughter of the Feng family, Feng Tianjiao, it could be considered as cleaning up the family. However, the things that the Feng family's daughter did could not be erased with an eraser. Rumors that the Feng family's daughter could not be married had already begun to spread among the large families. The news that was circulating outside was only the most superficial. There was also the matter of Feng Tianqing wanting his daughter to devour the Feng family's bloodline. Other than some higher-ups, not many people knew about it. After returning to the camp, Silda and the other friends who were concerned about Feng Wu all came to ask about her situation. They were only relieved when they saw that she was not injured. After resting for a day, Feng Wu went to find Ming Shi. She knew that Ming Shi's hand injury was serious again. His arm that would not recover after 1 or 2 more months of rest had gotten worse because he insisted on saving her. Feng Wu hugged Ming Shi's injured hand, her eyes red. "Don't cry, I'm fine. It's just that the recovery time might be a little longer." Ming Shi touched her head and comforted her softly. "I'm not crying. I never cry." Feng Wu looked at Ming Shi seriously. Her eyes were red, but she did not let the tears fall. She looked like a bullied bunny. "Okay, I was wrong. My Xiao Wu never cries." Ming Shi smoothed the girl's hair. The girl snuggled into the boy's arms. The boy and girl sat together like this, and for a moment, it felt very peaceful. In 2 days, the human race will launch their final counterattack. At that time, we will trap all the blood race in the Blood Moon Forest and then seal them again. After the seal is completed, I will return to the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. This time, the recovery time might be even longer. When I'm not around, take care of yourself. Don't go to dangerous places. If someone bullies you, don't be soft-hearted. I will protect you. No matter how noble the person is, I will always be able to protect you. Let's keep in touch like before," Feng Wu said. In fact, before coming here, Feng Wu had already heard about this from her father, Feng Wu, so she was not too surprised. But when she thought about how she would not be able to see Ming Shi for a while, she felt a little sad and reluctant. "And the same. If you want, we can keep in touch every day." Ming Shi kissed Feng Wu's forehead. This light kiss was like a gentle breeze that blew into Feng Wu's heart. It was a little numb. Ming Shi had just stepped back when Feng Wu's little face came up and covered his mouth. Feng Wu had never kissed anyone before. She had only seen others do it before. Someone had told her that it was something that lovers often did. Although she did not understand why they had to eat each other's mouths after becoming lovers, she and Ming Shi were already lovers. Shouldn't she and Ming Shi eat each other's mouths? Oh, that's not right. A juror had said that it was not called eating mouths, it was called kissing. Ming Shi's eyes were smiling as he hugged her a little tighter, but his lips moved away slightly. Be good. Kissing is not like that. Then what is it? Is it biting? Ming Shi looked at Ming Shi in a daze. Follow my example. After whispering softly, Ming Shi took the initiative to kiss Feng Wu's lips. This kiss was very light and gentle, as if he was protecting a precious treasure. Feng Wu felt a kind of numbness spread from her mouth to her entire body, and then to her heart. The two of them hugged and kissed sweetly for 10 minutes. After a long time, Ming Shi finally let go of Feng Wu. In the future, you can't let others do this to you. Do you understand? Ming Shi was worried that his little girlfriend was too innocent and would be taken advantage of. A jur had told me before that only lovers can kiss. We are lovers, so I will only let Ming Shi kiss me. Feng Wu looked seriously at Ming Shi and said word by word. Okay, I will also only kiss Xiao Wu. I will not kiss other girls. Ming Shi also made a serious promise. Lovers always felt that there was not enough time. 2 days passed very quickly. The counterattack led by the vice principal was very successful. The vampires were all chased back into the Blood Moon Forest. At that time, Ming Shi used all of his magic to repair the sealing barrier. The vampires were once again sealed. Heavenly Wind Continent's calamity had finally passed. Chapter 523. Couples always felt that there wasn't enough time. 2 days passed quickly, and the counterattack led by the vice principal was very successful. The blood breeds were all chased back into the Blood Moon Forest, and Ming Shi used all his magic to repair the seal. The blood breeds were sealed once again. The Heavenly Wind Continent's calamity had finally passed safely. After the battle, Ming Shi left along with Skycliff. Feng Wu stood outside the Blood Moon Forest and watched as Ming Shi left. Then, she followed the teachers back to school and continued her school life. Feng Tianqing's matter was a huge blow to Master Feng. Ever since he heard that Feng Tianqing had colluded with other races to harm the human race, Master Feng seemed to have aged a few decades. He was clearly such a spirited old man, but now he seemed to be in his twilight years. Feng Wuliu locked himself in his room for 3 whole days, and it was Feng Tianjiao who pulled Master Feng out. Probably because Feng Tianqing was dead, the knot between Feng Tianjiao and Master Feng was no longer as deep. This pair of father and daughter could finally sit together and talk properly. However, the two of them still didn't have the filial piety of an ordinary father and daughter. It was just that there was less gunpowder between them. Feng Wu found out about Master Feng's recent situation from Madame Lan, and Madame Lan hoped that Feng Wu could go home to visit. Feng Wu thought that there wasn't much to do recently, and the semester was about to end. As students who had participated in the battle, they didn't have to take the final exam because they had contributed to the continent. Feng Wu asked for leave from the teachers and brought Little Bun and Little White back to the Feng family. With the convenient transportation method of the teleportation formation, Feng Wu took less than half an hour to return to the ancient Eastern country. The ancient Eastern country was very lively recently because the annual Flower Tide Festival was about to arrive. The streets were filled with all kinds of beautiful flowers, and the people's faces were filled with happy smiles. Not only were there flowers on the streets, but even the doors of many families were filled with flowers. These flowers were beautiful and fragrant, and attracted people's attention. When she returned to the Feng family, her brother Feng Juntian was already waiting outside. Seeing that Feng Wu had returned, he helped carry his little nephew into the house. This was the Elf King. Maybe he could get some divinity from carrying him more. When she returned to the Feng family, she naturally had to meet the head of the Feng family, Master Feng Wuliu. Grandfather, Xiao Wu is back. Feng Juntian took Feng Wu to the old man's study, where she saw the old man practicing calligraphy. Seeing that Feng Wu was back, the old man's stern face softened a little. Fengzes, 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 Fengzes. SSS good, SSS Fengzes, STTSTTSTTSST. Unfortunately, Feng Wu didn't understand. She even nodded with a serious expression, indicating that she also felt that they should cook more. Xiao Yi, stay here. Xiao Wu, go have a chat with your mother. Master Feng gestured for Feng Juntian to carry the child over, then waved his hand to chase them away. The fact that Xiao Yi was the Elf King was definitely one of the important reasons why Master Feng recovered from his grief so quickly. Thus, Xiao Yi and Steamed Bun were left by Feng Wuliu's side, while Feng Wu went to find her mother. Madame Lan was still the same as before. She spent most of her time reading romance novels every day. She said that these novels were her source of energy, and even Feng Tianqing couldn't compete with these novels. Seeing Feng Wu's return, Madame Lan was happy from the bottom of her heart. She began to arrange a banquet to welcome Feng Wu, and even sent people to invite Feng Tianjiao's family over. When the banquet was held at night, Feng Tianjiao's family of 7 was all present. Even the son-in-law that Master Feng didn't like came. This was also the first time Feng Wu saw her uncle. This uncle wasn't very handsome, but he had a natural scholarly aura. He was a man with a very good temperament. Feng Tianjiao and her husband had a very good relationship. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had 5 children, including 2 sons and 3 daughters. Yi Lin still didn't get along with Feng Wu. The 2 sons of the Yi family also ignored Feng Wu. The twins only sat down and ate obediently, not daring to say anything, afraid that they would provoke their grandfather's anger. The children of the Yi family were all quite afraid of this grandfather of theirs. Feng Wuliu would often glare at them like quails, not daring to say anything. After the meal, they didn't chat for long before they dispersed. Yi Lin asked Feng Wu to go out and play during the Flower Tide Festival. Madame Lan agreed on behalf of Feng Wu. Feng Wu didn't think it was a big deal. At night, she hid under the soft and comfortable blankets and spoke with Ming Shi through the communication crystal. Feng Wu told Ming Shi that she had already returned to her home. She also told him about the day's events, the lively streets, the Flower Tide Festival and so on. The two chatted until very late into the night before going to bed. The next day, Feng Wu accompanied Madame Lan to buy clothes. On the day of the Flower Tide Festival, there was a 100-flower banquet in the palace. The aristocratic families were all invited. Feng Wu was dragged by Madame Lan to buy several beautiful gowns, saying that she would wear them when she entered the palace. But in the next few days, the palace didn't send anyone to invite them to the banquet. The madams and young misses of the other families had already received the invitations. This was a clear slap to the Feng family's face. This matter would probably become the laughingstock of the entire ancient eastern country after tonight. Old Master Feng had risked his life for the ancient eastern country. He didn't expect that because of Feng Tianqing, the imperial family's attitude would become worse. They didn't even send invitations to the 100-flower banquet to the Feng family. Old Master Feng didn't say anything after he found out. However, a storm was brewing in his eyes. Who knew when it would explode? At the 100-flower banquet in the palace, the younger generation was all laughing at the Feng family. The Feng family, a super family, couldn't even get an invitation to the 100-flower banquet. If this wasn't a joke, then what was? They didn't invite the Feng family to the 100-flower banquet this time. The Feng family has lost a lot of face this time. Isn't that so? Feng Ting is already dead. The Feng family only has one young miss, Feng Wu. That Feng Wu is so embarrassing. It's better if she didn't come. Otherwise, being in the same place as her will only lower our status. That's true. It's better if she didn't come. This was the laughter of the young women. On the other side, a group of old men also gathered together to talk about this matter. Do you guys think that His Highness wants to? An old patriarch made a killing gesture with his hand. That can't be. Feng Wuliu is loyal and devoted to our ancient eastern country. No matter what, His Highness wouldn't do such a chilling thing. That's not necessarily true. Feng Tianqing did such a thing this time. He colluded with the bloodlings to subvert our heavenly wind continent. This is a great crime of betraying the human race. It's not impossible for Feng Wuliu to be implicated and abandoned by His Highness. Chapter 524. On the other side, a group of old guys also gathered together to talk about this matter. Do you think His Highness wants to do something to the Feng family? An old patriarch made a gesture of killing. It can't be. Feng Wu Lu is loyal and devoted to our ancient eastern country. No matter what, it is impossible for His Highness to do such a chilling thing. That's not necessarily true. This time, Feng Tianxing did such a thing, colluding with the vampires to subvert our heavenly wind continent. This is a great crime of betraying the human race. It is not impossible for Feng Wu Lu to be implicated and rejected by His Highness. But didn't the Feng family send people to clean up the house? Feng Wu Lu has also said that he expelled Feng Tianxing from the Feng family. His Highness still holds on to this matter. It is too chilling, isn't it? His Majesty's actions are really inappropriate, really inappropriate. These old patriarchs shook their heads and sighed. They felt that His Majesty the Emperor of the ancient eastern country had gone too far. No matter what, Feng Wu Lu was still an old patriarch of a super force. The Feng family was also a family with a bloodline inheritance. It was not comparable to ordinary families. Today, many people whose family background was not as good as the Feng family came. On the contrary, a super force like the Feng family was rejected at the door. This was clearly a slap to the Feng family's face. Ronghua, how can you do this? The Empress was so angry that her face turned white. She was not only slapping the Feng family's face, but also making His Majesty embarrassed. What did I do? I just didn't want to see the Feng family's people, so I didn't want them to come. I didn't do anything wrong, Princess Ronghua said indifferently. Since the last time she saw Ming Shi, Princess Ronghua had secretly fallen in love with him. Unfortunately, Ming Shi ignored her. She didn't know where she heard that Ming Shi was studying at the Notre Dame du Starlight in Central City, so she wanted to go to Central City to meet Ming Shi again. However, before she arrived at the Central City, she heard the news that Ming Shi was injured and had returned to the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. Later, she heard about the ambiguous relationship between Ming Shi and Feng Wu. Princess Ronghua, who had always been proud and arrogant, could not bear it. If Ming Shi could choose any woman, she would not be so angry. Why did he have to choose Feng Wu? Feng Wu gave birth to a wild child. He would rather choose a promiscuous slut than her. How could she, Princess Ronghua, show her face? She could already imagine the scene when the news spread. She would be laughed at by other noble ladies. Every time she thought of that scene, her whole body felt uncomfortable. She wanted to skin Feng Wu alive. For this Flower Tide festival, she was specifically responsible for helping her mother draft the guest list. She also purposely crossed out the names of the Feng family members, which resulted in today's incident. Although she knew that she would be blamed, she did not regret it. This was the Imperial Palace, her home. She just did not want to see the Feng family. How can you say that? Is the Feng family an ordinary family? They are the top aristocratic family in the ancient kingdom of the East. In the whole Tianfeng continent, they are also one of the super forces. How can you offend them? The Empress now regretted asking her daughter for help. If she had known earlier, she would rather be tired than to let Ronghua find an opportunity to cheat her mother. She could already foresee His Majesty's angry face. So what if they are not ordinary? I am a princess. How can I be afraid of them? Princess Ronghua's words meant that she did not put the aristocratic family in her eyes. Bang! The Empress was so angry that she slammed the table and stood up. Fortunately, all the maids and servants had been driven out, so she did not have to worry about being heard by others. You're still not going to shut your mouth? How did I give birth to such an idiot like you? You even dare to say such things. Even your imperial father wouldn't say such things. You sure are bold, daring to say such things. The Empress was so angry that her liver hurt. Seeing that Princess Ronghua was still unrepentant, the Empress secretly decided that she must discipline Ronghua strictly in the future. She must not let today's incident happen again. Not long after, the Emperor sent someone to ask the Empress and the Princess to go to the Imperial Palace. The Emperor also knew that his wife and daughter had caused such trouble behind his back. The face of the aristocratic family was not something you could slap at will. As the emperor, he did not dare to slap the faces of the aristocratic families at will. His wife and daughter were so bold that they dared to slap the face of the Feng family at the Flower Tide Festival. The empress took Princess Ronghua to the imperial study, trembling with fear. Just then, a teacup was smashed in her face. The empress did not dare to dodge at all. She could only let the teacup hit her head and face. "Your Majesty, please calm down. I did not teach my daughter well. I will discipline Ronghua strictly in the future. I will never make such a mistake again." The empress quickly pulled Princess Ronghua to kneel down. This time, it was a big mistake. If the Feng family investigated, Ronghua would definitely be in trouble. In order to save her daughter, she could only hint her daughter to quickly admit her mistake. Unfortunately, Princess Ronghua did not think that she was wrong. She did not even kneel down. She just watched her mother anxiously cry. "One of you is the empress, the other is the princess. One is my wife, and the other is my daughter. You don't want to share my worries every day, and you dare to make such a big thing. You too want to kill me, don't you?" The emperor was so angry that he gasped for breath. The empress could only kneel down and admit her mistake. Princess Ronghua was even more stubborn. She said she would not admit her mistake. "What? Princess, you don't think you are wrong?" The emperor sneered. "I just don't want to see some people I don't want to see in my own home. What's wrong with that?" Princess Ronghua said righteously. "You are right. It's my fault. I shouldn't have given birth to such a rebellious daughter like you. Come on, send Princess Ronghua back to her room. Without my order, no one is allowed to let the princess out." As soon as the order was given, a group of guards immediately came in and took Princess Ronghua back to her room. No matter how much noise she made, it was useless. After punishing Princess Ronghua, the Feng family still had to be appeased. The emperor was simply having a headache. The next day, the news that Princess Ronghua was grounded came out of the palace. Later, after inquiring about the reason, she learned that the Feng family did not receive the invitation last night because Princess Ronghua accidentally crossed out the name of the Feng family on the list, and she happened to cross out the name of the Feng family, so the invitation was not sent to the Feng family. Who would believe this? To say that she accidentally scratched it, that was too much of a coincidence. She didn't scratch anyone, but she just happened to scratch the Feng family. This reason was too far-fetched. Anyway, not many people believed it. But it seemed to be true that it was caused by Princess Ronghua. Soon after the news that Princess Ronghua was grounded came out, the empress personally went to the Feng family with gifts to apologize. Although the Feng family did not want to see the royal family now, it was the empress who came. They could not just ignore her, so Madame Lan invited the empress in. Although the empress was welcomed into the Feng family, she still did not see Feng Wuliu, Feng Tianqing and his son. Originally, according to the etiquette, it should be the Feng family's old master, the Feng family's master, and the younger generation of the Feng family to greet the empress, but the Feng family was now angry. How could they want to see the empress? It was good enough that Madame Lan was willing to come to see her. Madame Lan accompanied the empress to have a cup of tea and some pastries. The empress explained the purpose of her visit and expressed her apology to Madame Lan with a good attitude. Madame Lan just said that she knew and did not say whether she would accept it or not. The empress had no choice but to go back to the palace. "Father, just now the empress came to our house to apologize. She hopes that we can forgive Princess Ronghua for being insensible." Madame Lan walked into Feng Wuliu's study and explained the empress's intention. Don't worry about them." Feng Wuliu continued to practice his calligraphy and ignored them. When the empress returned to the palace, she was scolded by the king again. This matter also caused a lot of noise. Finally, the king personally summoned Master Feng. It was said that the two talked for a long time. When Master Feng came out, there was news that Princess Ronghua was about to marry a neighboring country. Everyone guessed that this time, Master Feng was really angry, and even Princess Ronghua was in trouble. Because of this matter, Princess Ronghua's reputation among the nobles plummeted. Every day, She smashed things in her own palace to vent her anger. How could the first beauty of the ancient eastern country not end up like this? This ending really made people sigh. That's why people said that if you don't have the ability, don't court death. Even the dignified princess court death. Feng Wu told all the news to Ming Shi. Ming Shi did not expect that this matter would be solved in the end. Why didn't Princess Rong Hua find that she was such a brainless woman before? So, his Xiao Wu was better. At least, he didn't have to worry about his Xiao Wu court death like Princess Rong Hua. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was the Flower Tide Festival. On this day, there would be a selection of the Flower King in the center of the imperial city. Every family could send a pot of flowers to participate in the selection, and then the winning flower would get the title of Flower King. The previous Flower King had all been sold at a sky-high price. If you had a Flower King, you would get the blessing of the Flower God. If you had a Flower King, you would get a happy marriage and have a son early. If you had a Flower King, you would get married. Because of this reason, every time the Flower King was selected, the price would be sky-high. Many people wanted it but couldn't. The flowers participating in the Flower King selection could participate in the name of their family or in their own name. The Feng family sent 5 pots of precious flowers to participate in the Flower King selection, and other big families also sent their treasured flowers. The Flower King selection lasted for 7 days, and the results would be summarized after 7 days. Every resident in the imperial city could vote for their favorite flower, and the one with the most votes could enter the next round of selection. The last round of selection was not for ordinary people to choose, but to send flowers to the flower altar and ask for the flower god's blessing. Whichever flower was illuminated by the flower god's divine light and absorbed the blessing of the flower god, that flower would be the flower god this year. Feng Wu and her brother walked together in the flower and bird market. The flower and bird market had been very lively recently. Because of the Flower Tide Festival, there were a lot of people buying flowers, and the flower farmers made a lot of money. The Flower King selection had already begun, and all the good flowers had been bought by people who had the ability to buy them. Only some of the flowers were ordinary in appearance or species. Feng Juntian saw that his sister seemed to like plants, so he took Feng Wu to the flower market to have a look. If Feng Wu liked something, he could buy a few for her. Chapter 525. Feng Wu and her brother walked together in the flower and bird market. The flower and bird market had been very lively recently. Because of the Flower Tide Festival, there were a lot of people buying flowers, and the flower farmers made a lot of money. The Flower King selection had already begun, and all the good flowers had already been bought by people who had the ability to buy them. Only a few flowers with average appearances or species were left. Feng Juntian saw that his sister seemed to like plants, so he brought Feng Wu to the flower market to take a look. If there were any flowers that Feng Wu liked, he could buy a few for her. After walking around the flower market, Feng Juntian didn't like a single flower. This wasn't surprising, as the Feng family was a top aristocratic family and one of the superpowers. He had seen countless rare flowers since he was young, so why would he like these leftover flowers? Feng Wu, on the other hand, was very interested in looking here and there, and the corner of her mouth kept curling up. The flowers and plants here were still chatting, and they were chatting happily. One of them was very special, and the other flowers were very respectful to that little flower, and even called it Boss. Feng Wu found the flower that was called Boss, and pulled her brother's hand, using her eyes to tell him that she wanted this flower. This one, are you sure? This flower didn't seem too good, the flower didn't have much spirit, and it looked like it was about to wilt. Feng Juntian wanted to buy the best flower for his sister, but Xiao Wu liked this one. Forget it, if it was ugly, then it was ugly. As long as Xiao Wu liked it, then it was fine. This young miss, you have good taste. Don't think that this flower doesn't look like much. This little one found it in a deep valley. When this little one found this flower, there wasn't a single flower beside it. This little one felt that this flower was extraordinary, so I picked it and brought it back. Although this little one can't recognize what species this flower is, it's definitely not an ordinary flower. It's a pity that so many people passed by, but no one recognized gold and jade. Only young miss can recognize it. After that, The skinny flower seller kept praising it as if it didn't cost money. Alright, let's not talk too much. How much is it? This wasn't the first time Feng Juntian had come to the flower market to buy flowers. Which of these flower sellers wasn't good at talking? If one wasn't careful, it was very easy to buy some seemingly expensive but actually cheap ordinary flowers. This lowly one won't ask for too much. You can take the 500 gold. Seeing that the siblings Feng Wu and Feng Juntian were dressed well, he decided to demand an exorbitant price. 5 gold coins. If you don't want to sell it, then forget it. Feng Juntian often came to this landlord, so he naturally knew the value of these flowers. Ordinary flowers were only worth about 5 gold coins, so he didn't haggle. Young master, this is too little. Why don't you add more? The skinny man said with a wry smile. He had thought that 2 big clients had come, but it turned out that they were also knowledgeable. If you don't want to sell, then forget it. Feng Juntian pretended to pull Feng Wu away. The skinny man had no choice but to comply and wrap up the flower properly. After Feng Juntian paid, he passed the flower that Feng Wu liked to her and kept it for himself. Feng Wu was extremely satisfied as she looked at her lord brother with eyes full of admiration. Big brother is too awesome. A flower that was originally sold for 5 gold coins can now be bought for 5 gold coins. The money saved is enough to eat a lot of good food. Big brother is really awesome. She also had to work hard to be as awesome as Big brother. Xiao Wu, it's not that Big brother is awesome, it's just that the flower in your hand is only worth 5 gold coins. That person saw that you're a young lady and wanted to swindle more money from you, that's why he asked for such a high price. That person is evil. Feng Wu didn't have a good impression of anyone who wanted to swindle money from her. Only with money could one have food to eat, and scammers weren't good people. He is indeed evil. How could he swindle Xiao Wu? Actually, this person couldn't be blamed. He was just trying to make a living. If he couldn't tell, then it could only be said that he had bad eyesight. If he lost money, then he could only treat it as paying for a lesson. Of course, he didn't say this. Even if he did, Xiao Wu wouldn't understand. The siblings strolled around for a while and then went home. When they returned to their room, little Baozi was sleeping soundly on the bed. Feng Wu asked Qing'er to get some soil and a beautiful flower pot so that she could plant this unknown flower. Why is there such a strong aura of life? Little flower, who hadn't spoken much since Feng Wu bought it, opened its mouth again. Little Thing's shocked tone made Feng Wu a little confused. What aura of life? What was it talking about? Feng Wu tilted her head and looked at Little Flower. My goodness, where did that child come from? Such a strong aura of life. Is he still human? A cute child's voice muttered in Feng Wu's room. Xiaoyi opened his eyes in a daze and his small body nimbly got up. Seeing this, Feng Wu couldn't care less about what Little Flower was saying. She walked over to the bed and helped Xiaoyi put on his clothes. Little Baozi cutely snuggled into Feng Wu's arms. Mommy, hug. Little Thing said in a cute voice. Feng Wu carried Little Thing up and kissed his little face. After being kissed by his mommy, Little Thing's little face was red and he looked very happy. Is this really a human child? How can a human have such a strong aura of life? Unless he's a life magician. But that can't be. In this world, other than the elves, which human knows life magic? The more Little Flower thought about it, the more confused he became. He kept talking like a little chatterbox. Noisy. Little Flower is noisy. Little Baozi pointed at Little Flower, complaining that Little Flower was too noisy and Little Baozi couldn't stand it. It is quite noisy. Feng Wu nodded in agreement. You speak as if you can understand what I'm saying. Little Flower's cute voice sounded again. This time, it sounded a little nonchalant. This flower didn't believe that a human could understand what it was saying. I can understand. Feng Wu nodded and looked at Little Flower. Little Baozi also nodded and looked at Little Flower. Holy shit! You can actually understand what I'm saying. Little Flower felt that his worldview had been greatly impacted. What was wrong with this world? Had humans evolved to this level so quickly? Feng Wu nodded again. Little Baozi nodded along with his mommy. Who were this mother and son? Flower goddess, please take me away. There are perverts here who can understand the language of flowers. Little Flower finally settled down in Feng Wu's room. Feng Wu asked him what species he was. Little Flower said that he was an ancient rare flower. As for what species he was, he refused to tell her even if he was beaten to death. Luckily, Feng Wu wasn't very curious. Little Baozi, on the other hand, seemed to know something. He laughed at Little Flower for a long time before stopping. Feng Wu didn't know what Little Baozi was laughing about, but she didn't ask. Ever since Little Flower moved into Feng Wu's room, he became more and more energetic. His originally malnourished appearance became more and more beautiful. Feng Juntian had seen Little Flower a few times. He even looked through some flower catalogs, but he couldn't find any similar flowers. In the end, he could only give up. The Flower King selection was still ongoing. Today was the last day of registration. After today, no flowers could be sent to the selection. Little Flower had heard about the Flower King selection a long time ago. He said that if he wasn't the Flower King, who else could be? He strongly requested Feng Wu to send him to the selection. Feng Wu felt that Little Flower was too noisy. She didn't want to be annoyed, so she agreed. The Feng family had already sent a batch of flowers to the Flower King selection. It was impossible for Feng Wu to send Little Flower to the Flower King selection under the Feng family's name. In the end, Feng Juntian saw her troubles and asked her to send him to the selection under her own name. Feng Wu hugged her Little Flower and sent him to the Flower King selection under her own name. Little Flower said that he would definitely bring the Flower King trophy back. Feng Wu said that her ears could finally have some peace for a few days. Everyone was celebrating. Little Baozi didn't want to leave Little Flower. He asked Feng Wu to carry him over to touch Little Flower's leaves. Little Flower seemed to have grown prettier in Little Baozi's hands. Little Flower, come back quickly. Little Baozi already treated Little Flower as a friend. He wanted to talk to Little Flower every day. Yes. I want to bring the trophy back. Little Flower was extremely confident in himself. The Flower King selection wasn't over yet, but something big happened in the city. A flower thief appeared. This flower thief was picking beautiful flowers. Many young ladies from small families had fallen into his evil hands. Feng Juntian was now chasing after this flower thief every day. He didn't even go home often. Feng Wu was also warned not to go out too often. Otherwise, she would be caught by bad people. When Feng Wu talked to Ming Shi that night, she told him everything that happened today. When he heard that a flower thief was harming young ladies, Ming Shi told Feng Wu to be careful. He told her not to go to places with no people and not to talk to strangers. Feng Wu obediently agreed. From then on, she was extremely obedient. She didn't go anywhere. She didn't even go to see Little Flower, who she had left at the selection venue. Little Flower secretly said that Feng Wu was the most heartless master. On the 5th day since the flower thief appeared, a girl was harmed every day. It made the Flower Tide Festival very restless. The entire imperial city was in a state of panic. Finally, at 6 o'clock, the evil flower thief was caught. He was an adventurer from another country. This adventurer's character was very bad. He often went to harass female adventurers and was beaten half to death by those female adventurers. After that, he continued to harass them. This time, he was caught red-handed. After the Flower Tide Festival, someone would come to interrogate him and announce the results. Feng Juntian was relieved that this person was caught. On the day of the Flower Tide Festival, the Flower King selection was coming to an end. The results were going to be out today. The Feng family didn't expect that the flower that Feng Wu chose would actually be selected. The Feng family also had 2 flowers that were selected to participate in the Flower God ceremony later. The Flower God ceremony was actually to place a large pile of selected flowers on the altar. The priests of the ancient eastern country would appear and recite the ceremony on the altar. After reciting the ceremony, there would be a sacrificial dance. After the dance, they would ask for God's grace. The flowers that could bathe in God's grace would be the Flower King this year. The ceremony lasted for a whole hour. It was so long that it made people sleepy. The Fengwu girl forced herself not to fall asleep. After an hour, there was another hour of sacrificial dance. When the dance was finished, 2 hours had passed. In the final segment, the young masters and young mistresses of the various large families were all in high spirits. They wanted to see how beautiful the flowers chosen by the flower god were. They saw a golden light shine on all the flowers on the altar. Then, the golden light became smaller and smaller until it could only shine on one flower. This golden light lasted for a whole 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the golden light disappeared. Spirit rain fell from the sky. The spirit rain fell on all the flowers in the city. Those flowers that were lacking in vitality immediately became lively. This was the flower god's blessing. The flower god would bless all the flowers in the city, making them bloom even more brilliantly. Chapter 5:26. A golden light shone on all the flowers on the altar. Then, the golden light became smaller and smaller until it could only shine on one flower. This golden light lasted for a full 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the golden light disappeared. Spirit rain fell from the sky and sprinkled on all the flowers in the city. The flowers that were lacking vitality immediately became lively again. This was a blessing from the flower god. The flower god would bless all the flowers in the city and make them bloom even brighter. Now, I announce the final result of the Flower King competition. This unknown flower was chosen by Miss Fengwu. A white-haired old man walked up to the altar and pointed at Little Blossom as he announced the result of the competition. Little Blossom actually won the Flower King competition. How was this possible? Feng Juntian was dumbfounded. He had so many precious flowers in his family, but none of them won. Instead, Little Blossom, which he bought with 5 gold coins, won the prize. This was probably the lowest status Flower King among all the Flower Kings who participated in the competition. Fengwu was pushed onto the stage by the staff and received the Flower King trophy. This competition really did have a trophy with the words, Flower King, engraved on it. It was very beautiful. This Flower King trophy was also a good demonic instrument. It could be used to nourish flowers and cure diseases. Fengwu went up to the stage to receive the trophy. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, she took Little Blossom home. Little Blossom won the prize. It wouldn't be long before the people from the major families who came to see the Flower King arrived. Madame Lan started to get busy again. Feng Tianqing also praised his daughter's good taste. She randomly picked a flower and won the Flower King competition. That night, Ming Shi and Fengwu chatted for a long time. Shi told Ming Shi about Little Blossom winning the Flower King competition. Ming Shi praised Fengwu so much that Fengwu's eyes turned into crescents. She fell asleep unknowingly. At the same time, Ming Shi, who was far away in the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, couldn't sleep. His hands still needed to recover for about 3 months. He still couldn't go back to Xiao Wu for so long. What if the Flower King really had the ability to attract other suitors for Fengwu? Ming Shi was just starting to worry when he was interrupted by a sweet voice. Big brother Ming Shi. A beautiful girl in a white gauze dress with picturesque features hopped over and grabbed Ming Shi's hand. Hua Jin, why are you here? Ming Shi concealed the annoyance in his eyes and diverted some of his attention to deal with Hua Jin. Brother Ming Shi, your hand hasn't recovered yet. Why are you already out of bed? Let Hua Jin help you back to your room to rest. The girl called Hua Jin said with a pained expression. There's no need for that. Ming Shi withdrew his hand and kept a distance from the idol. I hurt my hand, not my foot. I don't need to hide in bed every day. Ming Shi said. Then, Hua Jin will accompany you to walk around the garden. I heard that Auntie ordered people to move a lot of precious flowers over. Hua Jin didn't give up at all and continued. No need, no need. I still have something to do. You can take your time walking around, Ming Shi said indifferently. With that, he turned around and left, not caring if Hua Jin could catch up. Big brother Ming Shi! Big brother Ming Shi! Hua Jin chased after him all the way but still couldn't catch up. In the end, she could only sit on a bench angrily and pull out the pitiful flowers to vent her anger. Hua Jin was the daughter of the Moon Emperor's sister, which meant that she was Ming Shi's biological cousin. Hua Jin had grown up with Ming Shi, so when she grew up, she naturally had other thoughts about Ming Shi. The Moon Empress knew about Hua Jin's feelings, but she didn't stop them. She just let nature take its course. Whether it was for public or private reasons, Hua Jin was a good candidate to be the next Moon Empress. In the Moon Empress' heart, Hua Jin was naive and cute. She was deeply in love with Ming Shi. Most importantly, Hua Jin's family was a prominent family in Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. Furthermore, she was the daughter of her biological sister. With all these factors combined, the Moon Empress was naturally very satisfied with Hua Jin. She was also happy to see Hua Jin chasing after Ming Shi. It was a pity that Hua Jin had been chasing after Ming Shi for more than 10 years. From when she was still a short-legged lowly until she was a grown woman, she still couldn't make Ming Shi like her. This made Hua Jin very anxious. She was afraid that Ming Shi would fall in love with someone else. Fortunately, Ming Shi wasn't interested in anyone else. This made Hua Jin keep convincing herself that as long as Ming Shi wasn't tempted by anyone else, there would always be a chance to get Ming Shi's sincerity. However, Ming Shi had changed recently. He often smiled foolishly by himself and often stared at the communication crystal in a daze. There were a few times when she saw Ming Shi chatting with a black-haired girl. Although the two of them were separated by the communication crystal, she could still see that the black-haired girl was very cute. She couldn't stand the fact that her beloved had fallen in love with someone else, so she pestered Ming Shi even more, hoping that Ming Shi would notice her. However, it seemed that Ming Shi hated her more and more. Hua Jin cried unwillingly. How was she inferior to that girl? Why didn't he give her a chance? Just as Hua Jin was crying sadly, she didn't expect a gloating voice to ring in her ears. Isn't this cousin Hua Jin? Why are you hiding here and crying after being rejected by my brother? The Moon Empress' daughter, Princess Beat, had walked over to Hua Jin's side. Beat and Ming Shi were the same. They had inherited the good looks of the Moon Emperor and the Moon Empress. However, Ming Shi's looks were obviously more beautiful than Beat's. This was what made Beat the most unhappy. It was too stressful to have a brother who was more beautiful than her. Why couldn't he make her prettier? It's none of your business. After saying that, Hua Jin ignored Beat and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, she was stopped by Beat. Hua Jin, don't pester my brother in the future. My brother already has someone he likes. He won't like you, Beat said. You said that brother Ming Shi has someone he likes? Why didn't I know about this? Hua Jin felt uneasy when she thought of the black-haired girl. Could that girl be the person brother Rixie likes? Who are you? You're not my brother's biological sister. Why do I have to tell you everything? Beat said. I'll marry brother Ming Shi and become his wife in the future, Hua Jin declared with a resolute look. My brother won't like you. Let me tell you a secret. My brother has already gone to look for Imperial Father. Imperial Father has also agreed to my brother marrying the girl he likes. So, you've been tormented for nothing all these years. Hurry up and go back home to wash up and sleep. After saying this, she skipped away without waiting for Hua Jin's question. Hua Jin ran out of the palace crying. She wanted to find her aunt and ask her clearly. Brother Ming Shi couldn't possibly like someone else. It was definitely impossible. Hua Jin cried all the way to the Moon Empress' place. The Moon Empress was living alone in the courtyard outside the palace. In her free time, she planted flowers and fed the fish. She was living a carefree life. Seeing Hua Jin crying all the way, the Moon Empress was shocked. Her niece didn't like to cry. Every time she cried, it was for her son. She was crying so sadly this time. There was probably a big problem. Chapter 527. Hua Jin cried all the way to the Moon Empress's place. The Moon Empress was now living alone in the courtyard outside the palace. In her free time, she planted flowers and fed the fishes. She was living a carefree life. Seeing Hua Jin crying all the way here, the Moon Empress was shocked. Her niece did not like to cry. Every time she cried, it was for her son. Now that she was crying so sadly, there was probably a big problem. Sobbing, Hua Jin told the Moon Empress what she had heard, hoping that she could make a decision for her. "Auntie, you must help Hua Jin. Hua Jin has liked cousin since she was young. Hua Jin can't live without cousin. Auntie, please grant Hua Jin's wish." Hua Jin cried her heart out. After all, this was her child whom she had doted on since she was young. Her heart ached a little. "Hua Jin, it's not that I don't want to help you, but love can't be forced. Ming she doesn't have you in his heart, so what can I do?" The Moon Empress wiped Hua Jin's tears with a handkerchief and sighed deeply in her heart. "Auntie is cousin's mother. Can't I arrange a marriage for cousin?" Hua Jin had never begged the Moon Empress to help her get engaged to Ming Shi, but she could not wait any longer. She was afraid that if she waited any longer, she would lose all hope. "Hua Jin, I can't help you with this," the Moon Empress said with a troubled expression. "Why? Auntie, don't you love Hua Jin anymore? Why aren't you willing to help Hua Jin?" Hua Jin cried bitterly. "It's not that I don't love you, but I really can't do this. Our Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom's crown prince has the freedom to choose his marriage partner. Even as the Moon Empress, I can't arrange a marriage for Ming Shi. As long as Ming Shi doesn't acknowledge you, this marriage won't count even if I arrange it," the Moon Empress said. "How could this be? How could this be?" Hua Jin cried bitterly. The Moon Empress had no choice but to comfort her softly, even though it might not be of any use. Fengwu did not know what was happening in Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. She was playing with the little bun in her room, while Xiao Hua was brought to the front yard by Madame Lan, waiting for guests to come and admire the flowers. Not long after the front yard was set up, someone came to the door. It was Lady Qiu of the Qiu family, as well as the two sisters, Qiu Ruobing and Qiu Ruoshui. After that, a few more ladies came with their children to see the Flower King. In the past, the price of the Flower King would be sky high. Some big families would even spend a lot of money to buy the Flower King from its owner. This year, the Flower King fell into the Feng family's hands. The Feng family didn't need to rely on selling the Flower King to make money. No one would be so tactless as to go up and talk about buying the Flower King. Although they couldn't buy this year's Flower King, they could come and watch. More and more madams, young misses, and young masters came to admire the Flower King. These people were all here for the Flower King. There were also some who were curious about the Feng family's first daughter. Fengwu came to the front yard to show her face, but she didn't like this kind of occasion, so she left after a short while. There were hundreds of flowers in the front yard. The Flower King, Little Flower, was placed in the most eye-catching position. There was also a small defensive array around it, in case someone accidentally hurt the Flower King. The front yard was busy admiring the Flower King. Fengwu didn't want to join in the fun, so she went with her brother to participate in the trial of the thief. This was the first time Fengwu had seen this rapist, and her eyes widened in astonishment at one glance. This person was someone Fengwu was familiar with, but the way they met was a bit strange. "Xiao Wu, save me! Little sister Xiao Wu, I've been wronged." Frost in June. Norville finally saw someone familiar. He was so excited that he almost cried. "You're a rapist?" Fengwu had learned the meaning of the word rapist from her brother's words. In the Fengwu girl's understanding, the so-called thief was someone who didn't like women, but kept pestering them to do things they didn't want to do. Ming Shi didn't know how Feng Juntian had told Fengwu, but by the time Ming Shi found out, that was how Fengwu had interpreted the word rapist. "Of course not." Norville shook his head frantically. "Little sister Xiao Wu, listen to me. I'm really not a thief. I just remembered that a few days ago, I heard that there would be a lot of beauties at the Flower Tide Festival, so I wanted to come and take a look." Who knew that the moment I found a place to stay, I would be ambushed. I was drugged until I couldn't wake up. When I woke up, I found myself in some woman's room. That woman was trying her best to take off her clothes and kiss me. I couldn't dodge at all and was about to knock her out when this brother came in and arrested me like I was a thief. Norville told Feng Wu everything about his pitiful encounter. He even pointed at Feng Juntian with an aggrieved expression, his eyes full of accusation. Feng Juntian shook off the goosebumps all over his body. Wasn't it disgusting for a man to look at someone like that? "This is my brother," Feng Wu said. "Your brother?" Norville screamed in shock. What kind of fate was this? The person who arrested him like he was a thief was Feng Wu's biological brother. "Is what you said the truth?" Feng Juntian asked. Norville nodded his head furiously. Of course it was the truth. It was truer than gold. "I'll help you investigate this matter. Before I get to the bottom of it, you stay here. If it has nothing to do with you, I'll let you out." Seeing that this person knew Feng Wu, Feng Juntian was still willing to help. After leaving the place where Norville was locked up, Feng Juntian began to ask about Norville. Most importantly, he asked about how the two of them met. Feng Wu of course told him everything honestly. Feng Juntian's head was already filled with black lines when he heard how the two of them met. Since Feng Juntian had promised to investigate the truth, he would definitely investigate. After investigating for 7 days, he finally found some clues that proved that Norville wasn't the culprit. After investigating for another 3 days, he didn't know what method Feng Juntian used. In short, he found out that he wasn't the thief. It was also someone who hated him to death. When that man was arrested, Norville couldn't even remember who this guy was. Why did he hate him so much that he actually set up such a trap to frame him? "I say, bro, who are you? What kind of enmity do we have? Why do you hate me so much?" Norville couldn't think of who this man was. They didn't seem to know each other. "Norville, you're still pretending not to know me. I'm Little A's ex-boyfriend. Ever since Little A met you, she wanted to break up with me. She even said that we don't have anything in common and don't have any feelings for each other. F***ck, I didn't say that I didn't have any feelings for her when I bought her magic medicine. I didn't say that I didn't have any feelings for her when I bought her jewelry. When she didn't need me anymore, I didn't have any feelings for her." The man yelled angrily. "Little A's ex-boyfriend? If you want to take revenge, why don't you take revenge on Little A? I didn't even know that she had an ex-boyfriend. I'm so wronged." Norville was speechless. Chapter 528. Little A's ex-boyfriend? If you want to take revenge, why don't you take revenge on Little A? I didn't even know she had an ex-boyfriend. I'm so wronged. Norville was speechless. What he said was the truth. He had never heard Little A mention that she had an ex-boyfriend. He and Little A had spent a happy time together. Later on, he realized that the two of them weren't suitable for each other, so he broke up with her. As for who Little A's current boyfriend was, he didn't know. What's there to be wronged about? You bastard who stole someone else's girlfriend. You'll die **king horrible death. May the heavens bless you so that you won't be able to get hard for the rest of your life." The man let out a string of curses. "Just because he stole your girlfriend, you went to frame him?" Feng Juntian said. "Humph." The man turned his head and harumphed, not saying anything. "In order to take revenge on him, you harmed several young girls in my ancient eastern country. Your crime is unforgivable. Just wait for your verdict." Feng Juntian left with the Feng Wu girl after speaking. Norville gave the other party a kick before he chased after Feng Wu. He was running happily behind Feng Wu. Seeing that the other party was Feng Wu Sr., Feng Juntian still arranged a room for him. After that, Norville successfully stayed in the Feng residence. Because this guy had chased after countless girls, he had a way with them. No one knew how he did it, but he became Madame Lan's best friend despite their age difference. The two of them often watched romance together and studied the scenes in it. If it wasn't for the age difference, everyone would probably think that the two of them were dating. Father Feng had some opinions about this. He tried to chase this guy away a few times, but to no avail. In the end, he could only stand on the side and make his presence known when Madame Lan and Norville were together. With Norville around, Madame Lan and Feng Tianqing were very affectionate during this period of time. The two of them seemed to have a second spring in their relationship. At night, Feng Wu told Ming Shi everything about Norville. Ming Shi had heard of Norville's name before. He was a famous playboy in the school. That so-called Flower King really knew how to attract girls. With just one move, he managed to attract such a rotten girl. Ming Shi could only smile bitterly. He couldn't stop Feng Wu from talking to Norville. Although Norville was a bit of a playboy, he still had a good character, although Ming Shi didn't want to admit it. Xiaoming, I love you. Your face is as enchanting as a flower, your eyes are as sparkling as the stars, and your skin is as flawless as jade. Your beauty makes me fall into a trance. Every time I see you, I hear the sound of fireworks exploding in my ears. It makes me so intoxicated. At the beach, Norville was holding a girl's hand and whispering sweet nothings to her. The young girl shyly lowered her head, and her entire face was about to emit smoke. Little dream, come here. Who was this gigolo? Why are you two together? A sturdy and strong man walked over from one direction with a group of brothers. The brothers he brought with him surrounded the two of them in the middle with a seine net. XX, let me go. There are no feelings between us anymore. The one I love now is Big Brother Norville. Xiaoming first angrily glared at the man in front of her, then said shyly, Who is this? Norville felt that he must be unlucky. He couldn't be so unlucky as to find a woman who was taken, right? Ever since what happened last time, he had been traumatized and didn't dare to casually hook up with women. He had observed the woman in front of him for a few days and made sure that no man had an intimate relationship with her. Only then did he try to seduce her. He didn't think that he would fail miserably. She was also a married woman. Big Brother Norville, don't misunderstand. I broke up with him a long time ago. I don't have feelings for him. Xiaoming quickly explained, afraid that Norville would misunderstand. What do you mean you don't have feelings for me? Why didn't you say that when I bought clothes, jewelry, and medicine for you? I just went out on a mission and you have no feelings for me. Why did these words sound so much like Zhang Xiang? Norville was a little confused. XX, I said I don't have feelings for you. You don't have to say anything else. Xiaoming said heartlessly. Not far away, some couples who were on a date were watching the show. Feng Juntian, who had brought his sister to the beach to catch crabs, also happened to see Norville being surrounded. However, he didn't have any intention of helping and only brought his beloved sister to watch the show. During this period of time, that brat had caused a lot of trouble in his family. It would be good if someone taught him a lesson. Brother, what did that brat do? Why are there so many people surrounding him? Someone curiously asked the person beside him. I heard that brat stole someone else's girlfriend. That's why his ex came looking for him. This brat is so powerful. How many times has it been? What do you mean? Does this brat often have his ex come looking for him? That's not it. However, when I was on a date with my little darling, I often saw this man bring women to the beach for a date and kiss. Just last week, I saw him go on a date with 5 different women. This is one of the 5 women. This was a hot topic. F***ck, this brat even has one a day. Can he digest so many women by himself? That's right. Isn't he afraid of grinding an iron rod into a needle? No matter what, at least this brat knows to rest for 2 days every week. I'm guessing that he must have eaten all kinds of tonics to nourish his body. Otherwise, how can his little body take it? That makes sense. That makes too much sense. My family sells all kinds of aphrodisiac. Next time, I'll look for him to promote it. Who knows, I might even get a regular customer. Someone suddenly said, "Your family actually sells aphrodisiac? What kind of drugs do you have? Quick, tell me. If there's any good ones, I'll go buy some." "That's right. Quick, tell me. What kind of drugs do you have?" This conversation was getting more and more crooked. It was all about aphrodisiac. Feng Juntian held the Fengwu girl's hand and walked past calmly. Let someone beat that beast to death. He wouldn't stop them. Fengwu and Feng Juntian happily caught crabs and barbecued them by the beach. Poor Norville, on the other hand, was beaten until his head was swollen. Even his mother wouldn't be able to recognize him when he walked on the streets. After catching crabs and eating for the whole afternoon, the Fengwu girl went home with her brother in satisfaction. While Fengwu was having a good time, Ming-Shi was having a little trouble. 2 days ago, there were remnants of the Blood Clan who came to assassinate the Moon Empress. In the end, Hua Jin stood in front of the Moon Empress and saved her life. After Hua Jin's life was saved, Moon Emperor asked her what she wanted and said that he would give it to her. Unexpectedly, Hua Jin directly said that she wanted to marry Ming-Shi. Ming-Shi firmly rejected her, stating that he would never marry her. However, the family behind Hua Jin was indignant. They felt that this was a chance for their family to advance further. Hence, from time to time, they would run over to help Hua Jin kick up a fuss. If they did not let Ming-Shi marry Hua Jin, their family would not stop making a fuss. In short, Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom was in a mess now. "Ming-Shi," the Moon Empress called out to her son, who was walking in front. "Mother." Ming-Shi bowed respectfully to his mother. "Ming-Shi, can't you try to accept Hua Jin? She's a good child. The two of you will definitely be happy together." The Moon Empress tried to persuade her son. "My marriage is not a tool to repay a debt of gratitude," Ming-Shi said indifferently. "Don't you like Hua Jin at all? That child grew up with you. You really can't bear to give her a chance." The Moon Empress said, "I don't like her." The gentle smile on Ming-Shi's face disappeared as he said these 3 words. "Okay, you don't like her, but she saved Mother. For Mother's sake, can't you try to accept her?" The Moon Empress' voice had a hint of pleading. She knew how much Hua Jin loved Ming-Shi. That child had been seriously injured in order to save her. If marrying Ming-Shi was her only wish, the Moon Empress would definitely think of a way to fulfill it for her. "No, I've already said that marriage is not a tool to repay a debt of gratitude." With that, he turned around and left without waiting for the Moon Empress to say anything else. Not long after Ming-Shi left, he was called into the study by Moon Emperor. "Father, if you're here to persuade me to marry Hua Jin, then you don't have to say anything," Ming-Shi said seriously as he looked at Moon Emperor. "Do you dislike Hua Jin that much?" Moon Emperor smiled gently. Moon Emperor was born with 50% resemblance to Ming-Shi, while the other 50% resembled the Moon Empress. Their genes were simply too strong to give birth to a youth as beautiful as Ming-Shi. Ming-Shi did not say anything and only lowered his head to look at the floor. "Forget it. When have I ever forced you to do something you don't want to do? Marriage is decided by every Moon Emperor. Back then, when I chose your mother to be the Moon Empress, didn't I choose it myself? No matter who you choose to be the Moon Empress in the future, as long as it's someone you like, I'll support you," Moon Emperor said lovingly. "Thank you, Father, for granting my wish." Ming-Shi finally raised his head and looked at Moon Emperor with a smile in his eyes. "We, the 4 rulers, shoulder the heavy responsibility of protecting the human world. As long as we don't shoulder this heavy responsibility, we won't be free for a moment. Marriage is the only chance for us 4 rulers to freely choose. We can't choose to avoid the responsibility of protecting the human world, but we can still choose a queen we like. If we lose this little bit of freedom, what's the point of sitting in this position? Don't blame your mother. She's a good person, but she misses her family a little. If she comes to persuade you to marry Hua Jin, just pretend that you didn't hear her. I'll settle the rest for you," Moon Emperor said. "Father." Ming-Shi looked at his father, touched. The father and son were filled with silent warmth. Hua Jin's family came to create trouble a few times, but they were severely punished by the usually good-tempered Moon Emperor. This time, Hua Jin's family did not dare to provoke Moon Emperor, so they could only let Hua Jin's mother, who was the Moon Empress sister, pester the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress was pestered every day. She wanted to talk to her son, but her son ignored her. She wanted to talk to her husband about the marriage, but her husband pretended not to hear. She did not know what she had done wrong. Why did both father and son treat her like this? Chapter 529. Hua Jin's family came to cause trouble a few more times, but they were severely punished by the good-tempered Moon Emperor. This time, Hua Jin's family did not dare to provoke Moon Emperor, so they could only let Hua Jin's mother, who was also the Moon Empress sister, pester the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress was pestered every day. She wanted to talk to her son, but her son ignored her. She wanted to talk to her husband about the marriage, but her husband pretended not to hear. She did not know what she had done wrong. Why did both father and son treat her like this? Later on, the Moon Empress was so annoyed that she had no choice but to avoid meeting Hua Jin's family. Hua Jin's mother went to look for Hua Jin's grandmother. Hua Jin's grandmother had always doted on Hua Jin the most, even more than Princess Beat. When Hua Jin's grandmother found out about the matter, she insisted that the Moon Empress let Ming Shi marry Hua Jin. If Ming Shi did not marry her, he would be considered ungrateful and would be criticized behind his back. He, Ming Shi, was the future Moon Emperor. He couldn't be an ungrateful person. The Moon Empress was dizzy from her mother's nagging. Ming Shi refused to meet her, and Moon Emperor said that he was very busy. She could not voice her grievances, and in the end, the Moon Empress did not want to help Hua Jin anymore. Although the Moon Empress liked Hua Jin and wanted to help her family, she had to be willing to help. However, this half-forced method was really unpleasant. Especially when her sister even invited her mother over and insisted that Ming Shi marry Hua Jin. Although the Moon Empress had tolerated her sister and her relatives because of kinship, it did not mean that she had no bottom line and would continue to tolerate it. Now, she was already annoyed by her family. Her mother only wanted to help Hua Jin fulfill his wish, but had she ever thought of her helplessness as the Moon Empress? She was the Moon Empress, but she could not abuse her power to arrange for her niece to be the Moon Empress for the future Moon Emperor. There were so many generations of Moon Empresses in history, but which one of them could not differentiate between public and private matters? The Moon Theaka's spouse could only be chosen by himself. It was her sister and the others who were in the wrong, but her mother was still helping them. This made the Moon Empress even more depressed. For the sake of Hua Jin, she had caused her husband and sons to treat her coldly. Even her daughter and sons avoided her whenever they saw her, for fear that she would set her sights on them. Why did she end up like this? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it wasn't worth it. At night, Moon Emperor looked at Moon Empress, who was sitting in front of the dressing table in a daze. He slowly walked over and hugged her from behind. Why? Have you thought it through? The Moon the Arch hugged the Moon Empress' waist and asked gently, "During this period of time, I have let you and our son down." The Moon Empress admitted her mistake honestly. "It's good that you know you're in the wrong. I'll help you get rid of them tomorrow, but you can't be soft-hearted again." Moon King made things clear. How would the Moon Empress dare to be soft-hearted? She had ended up like this because she was soft-hearted toward Hua Jin. After being tortured for so many days, how would she dare to be soft-hearted again? "I won't do it again. You must help me. I'm about to be annoyed to death by Mother and the others." The Moon Empress felt wronged. "All right, I'll settle it," Moon King promised. The Moon Empress snuggled into his arms. The husband and wife hugged each other silently, talking about intimate things between husband and wife. Fengwu had been playing like crazy during this period of time. Sometimes, her brother would bring her to the beach to catch fish and crabs. Other times, Norville would bring her to the streets to eat and watch performances. Madame Lan would also bring her to buy clothes and watch operas. After her life became too colorful, the Fengwu girl's appetite increased again. Although her appetite increased, her weight did not change at all. This made Norville very suspicious of where the Fengwu girl's stomach led to. Today, Fengwu was taking a walk in the garden with the little bun. Unexpectedly, someone came to look for her. It was Qiu Ruoshui, who was with her. What's the matter? Fengwu couldn't figure out why this person came to look for her. She clearly remembered that this person hated her. Fengwu blinked. She couldn't figure it out. I'm here to look for you. Do you still remember Ning Bai? Qiu Ruoshui suddenly asked. Who was it? Fengwu searched her memory but still couldn't figure out who she knew. Thus, she shook her head honestly. You don't even remember Ning Bai? Ning Bai was so protective of you when you were young. This is Ning Bai's wedding invitation. She asked me to give it to you. She said that she hoped that her wedding would be completed with the blessings of all her relatives and friends. Thus, she hopes that you can go, Qiu Ruoshui said. If she didn't promise Ning Bai, she wouldn't want to have anything to do with Fengwu. Fengwu took it in a daze. Even after Qiu Ruoshui left for a while, she still couldn't figure out who Ning Bai was. Later, it was Madame Lan who told Fengwu that Ning Bai was a good friend of the original Fengwu's when she was young. Later, Ning Bai's family moved to another place and didn't move back until a few months ago. Madame Lan knew that Fengwu received Ning Bai's wedding invitation. She agreed that Fengwu should go and observe other people's weddings. This way, she wouldn't be flustered when she got married. Fengwu only heard that she was going to observe other people's weddings. This reason successfully convinced the Fengwu girl. She still didn't know how people here got married. She had to go and observe so that when she married Ming Shi in the future, she would know what to do. The wedding wasn't held in Ning Bai's house. It was held in another city where the groom's family lived. Ning Bai's future husband was a senior she met in school. The two of them had a very good relationship. Both families were very satisfied with this marriage. 3 days before the wedding, Fengwu arrived at the city where Ning Bai's wedding was held. Ning Bai's family had already arranged rooms for the guests who came to observe the wedding to stay. Fengwu and Qiu Ruoshui were assigned to 2 rooms next to each other. Fengwu didn't care, but Qiu Ruoshui couldn't wait to change rooms. She really went to find someone to change rooms. However, Ning Bai's family told her that there were no more rooms. Qiu Ruoshui had to give up. Unwillingly, she lived next to Fengwu. Just when everyone was waiting for the wedding, something happened to the groom unexpectedly. When Ning Bai and her fiancé went out in a carriage, they encountered a landslide. Ning Bai's fiancé protected Ning Bai at the last moment. However, he hit his head on a huge rock and died on the spot. Now, the wedding became a funeral. The guests who came to observe the wedding didn't have to go back. They directly changed from attending the wedding to attending the funeral. During the funeral, Ning Bai cried so hard that she almost fainted. Qiu Ruoshui and a few other friends who were close to her kept comforting her, but it didn't work. On the night of the funeral, Ning Bai cut her wrist to commit suicide. Although she didn't die, her parents were so frightened that they didn't dare to leave her alone. After the funeral, her parents immediately took her back to the imperial city. They didn't dare to leave her in the city full of her fiancés. After Fengwu came back, she told them what happened. The Feng family sighed. A wedding turned into a funeral. Ning Bai's life was too hard. How could a girl like her bear such a big blow? Madame Lan sympathized with Ning Bai very much. She asked Fengwu to accompany her when she was free. She also asked the kitchen to make some tonics and asked Fengwu to send them to Ning Bai's house. Although Ning Bai lost her fiancé, she still had a lot of friends who cared about her. Ning Bai was a cute girl since she was young. She was born with a baby voice and looked like a doll. She was simply a human-shaped doll. Her cuteness was off the charts. It was rare that she was so popular. If the original Fengwu was a child that everyone hated when she was young, then Ning Bai was definitely the kind of child that people wanted to give her their hearts and livers when they saw her. She was loved by everyone. Not only was Ning Bai cute, but she also had a good personality. She was lively and kind. She was very likable. Everyone said that such a good girl like Ning Bai had encountered such a misfortune. It was so pitiful. Many people cared about Ning Bai. From time to time, people would send her some small gifts or chat with her. Under everyone's care, Ning Bai muddle-headed for a whole month. A month later, Ning Bai invited a few of her closest friends to go to Autumn Mountain outside the city to play. It was the best time to climb the mountain and look into the distance. Hearing Ning Bai's invitation, everyone agreed at once. There were 7 people who were closest to Ning Bai. They were all close to her since she was young. The original Feng Wu was one of them. Autumn Mountain was a mountain with beautiful scenery. The scenery on the mountain was picturesque. Feng Wu came to Autumn Mountain with the others. It was the 3rd time that Feng Wu had come to Autumn Mountain. Her brother had brought her here twice before. The 8 of them climbed to the top of the mountain from the foot of the mountain. The scenery on the top of the mountain was even more beautiful. They could see the boundless blue sky and white clouds as well as the beautiful imperial city at the foot of the mountain. 2 girls who came with them took out the sketchboards they had prepared to draw. Feng Wu took out a lot of delicious food. She found a floral cloth and spread it on the ground. Then, she sat on it and began to eat. Seeing that Feng Wu had prepared so many things, everyone thought that she had prepared for everyone. Now, except for the 2 girls who were drawing, the others all gathered around. They ate all the food that Feng Wu had prepared for them. Feng Wu was not happy that her food was stolen by others. After eating and drinking, everyone went down the mountain together. They didn't walk on the main road because Ning Bai wanted to take a small path to change her mood. Since they were here to accompany her to relax, they just let her be. Not long after, it started to drizzle. Then, the rain got heavier and heavier. Everyone found a cave to take shelter from the rain. They didn't know who had lived in this cave before. There were a lot of dry straws and some unburned firewood on the ground. It was much more convenient to have firewood. Everyone immediately started a fire. They were a little cold after being drenched in the rain. Feng Wu wasn't cold. In fact, she didn't get wet. She remembered that she had made a shield with her warrior energy. Therefore, she didn't get wet at all. The others weren't so lucky. Many of them found a place to take shelter from the rain by reflex. They totally forgot that they could make a shield. Among the 8 of them, except for a few who reacted quickly, almost all of them got wet. The rain kept falling and didn't show any signs of stopping. Everyone was bored sitting together. Bai Ning suggested that they should gather together and tell a story. Moreover, it should be a scary story. The girls had always loved and hated this kind of story. Of course, they all agreed. Chapter 530. It kept raining and didn't look like it was going to stop any time soon. Since it was boring for everyone to sit together, Bai Ning suggested that everyone should gather together and tell a story. Moreover, it should be a scary story. The girls had a love-hate relationship with such stories, so they all agreed. The 8 girls gathered together and took turns to tell ghost stories. Screams and laughter could be heard from time to time in the cave. Even Ning Bai, who had been frowning for the past month, felt much happier. At the very least, everyone could finally see her smiling face. Ning Bai's smile made them feel more relaxed. At least she was in a good mood now. They didn't need to worry that she would slit her own throat in a place they couldn't see. Feng Wu wasn't worried about Ning Bai, because she didn't know Ning Bai. The one who knew Ning Bai was the former Feng Wu, not the current Feng Wu. During this period, Feng Wu often went to play with Ning Bai, but Ning Bai didn't talk to her most of the time. Feng Wu couldn't make friends with her. In other people's eyes, Feng Wu was either concerned about Ning Bai's supplements or was in a daze with Ning Bai. In fact, it was the Feng Wu girl who didn't know what to say, so they naturally regarded her as Ning Bai's good friend. Even Ning Bai's parents were glad that Ning Bai had such a good friend. Feng Wu didn't even know when she became Ning Bai's good friend. They played with Ning Bai until the evening and then went home. Feng Wu and the others didn't know that half an hour after they left, a beautiful girl walked into the cave. Great! I finally found it. It's the wish stone left by the god of death in the human world. The girl was Irene. During this period, Irene tried her best to recall the lucky chances that hadn't appeared in the novel. After thinking for a while, she suddenly remembered that there was indeed a lucky chance on the autumn mountain outside the imperial city of the ancient eastern country. In the novel, there was a girl who wasn't even a supporting female character. She was at most a passerby cannon fodder. She even forgot the name of the cannon fodder. She only knew that the girl found a black stone in this place, which was called the wish stone of the god of death. As long as you use this stone, you can make a wish to the stone god and revive anyone you want to revive. That girl had once used that stone to make a wish. She wanted to revive her fiancé. Death had granted her wish, but she had to use the souls of 7 of her best friends or closest relatives in exchange. The girl chose 7 of her closest friends and used them as sacrifices to let the Grim Reaper take away their souls. When the souls of the 7 girls were taken away, the girl's wish came true. Her fiancé came back to life. However, the girl did not live a happy life with her fiancé, because the 7 people she killed were not ordinary people. The 7 families started to investigate this matter, and very soon, they cast their suspicious gazes on the girl. Later on, the girl's family was exterminated, and she and her fiancé died in the hands of the furious 7 great families. As for Zicheng, there was a period of time when he had the idea of getting that stone. Later on, she really did find it. Later on, when they were out training, the male lead died trying to save the female lead. She used 7 of her so-called good friends who had a favorability of more than 90 points to revive the male lead. Because the female lead was the female lead, she did not have to worry about being avenged by those families. Anyway, those 7 people were dead. At most, they would shed 2 drops of crocodile tears. When the novel described this part, it mainly talked about Zicheng's helplessness and sadness and the pain of his friends' deaths. What she wanted to do now was to find the stone of death before Zicheng. Fortunately, the novel said that the stone did not appear in this place for the first time. Irene looked around the cave but found nothing. She removed the straw on the ground and was shocked to find something that should not have appeared at this time. Soul Sacrifice Array. Of course, Fengwu did not know what happened in the cave. At this moment, she was sleeping on her comfortable bed and chatting with Ming Shi about what happened today. Ming Shi also sympathized with Ning Bai. Although he had not experienced it, he could imagine how painful it was to lose a fiancé before the wedding. Although he sympathized with Ning Bai, Ming Shi did not want Fengwu to tire herself out because of other people's matters. The two did not chat for long. Because Fengwu was a little tired, she fell asleep soon after. 2 days had passed since they returned from Autumn Mountain. Fengwu's days were still so leisurely. Every day was not boring. Norville continued to seduce beauties. Occasionally, he would be unlucky and meet someone who was already taken. He would become the third party and be chased by his ex for a few streets. Fengwu's family had already gotten used to Norville turning into a pig's head every 2 to 3 days. Just as she brought little Bun to the beach to play, Feng Juntian told her something big. That day, a girl who went to Autumn Mountain with them fell into the water and drowned. She was smiling when she died. It was very eerie. Fengwu went to the girl's funeral. There were many people there. Fengwu and Madame Lan comforted the madam and sent the daughter off before returning home with Madame Lan. However, Fengwu did not know that this was just the beginning. Every few days, someone would die, and those who died were all people who went to Autumn Mountain with them. In just half a month, a total of 5 people had died. Only Qiu Ruoxue, Fengwu, and Ning Bai survived. Today, Qiu Ruoxue could not hold it in anymore and came to Fengwu. Qiu Ruoxue was invited into Fengwu's room. In Fengwu's room, Qiu Ruoxue saw Fengwu's son. This child was very beautiful and could melt anyone's heart with just one look. Unfortunately, no matter how cute the child was, she was not in the mood to admire him. She sat down with Fengwu with a pale face. The moment she sat down, she poured herself a large glass of water and gulped it down. "Aren't you afraid? How can you still be so calm?" Qiu Ruoxue said angrily. Afraid of what? What did she need to be afraid of? Fengwu tilted her head. And the others are all dead. Why don't you feel anything? Don't you think their deaths are too strange? Do you still remember the ghost story we told you that day? The way they died was exactly the same as the main characters in the story. Isn't it our turn next? Cho Ruoshue kept rubbing her hands. Her forehead was already covered in cold sweat. She could not understand why such a terrifying thing would happen on a trip to Cho Mountain. Fengwu did not think too much about it at first. Only now did she realize that, it seemed like, that was really the case. After thinking for a while, Fengwu stood up suddenly, giving Cho Ruoshue a fright. What are you doing? Cho Ruoshue asked with her arms crossed. Looking for brother. If there was a problem, she would look for her brother. Her brother would definitely be able to help. Then, Cho Ruoshue saw that Fengwu had found Feng Juntian. After hearing what had happened, Feng Juntian's expression was grave. Why didn't you say so earlier? 5 people had already died. Why did she only tell him such a big thing now? I didn't notice. Fengwu said honestly. She did not notice that the way those people died was exactly the same as in the story. If she had known, she would have come to find her brother long ago. What about you? Did you tell Ruobai? Feng Juntian turned to ask Cho Ruoshue. Cho Ruoshue shook her head. It was not that she did not want to tell her brother, but her brother had been very busy recently. Her grandfather did not allow her to disturb him. She wanted to find her father, but her father was not at home. Her mother had returned to her maternal home, and her grandfather was in seclusion. She did not have anyone to discuss this with. Thus, she was scared witless and came to find Fengwu, who was also waiting for death. I understand. I will help you contact Ruobai later. Have you been to Ning Bai's place? Feng Juntian asked again. I have, but she is not at home. I heard from her parents that Ning Bai has been missing for 2 to 3 days. Her family is also looking for her. I am worried that Ning Bai might have already. Cho Ruoshue could not continue. Tears flowed down her face. She was scared to death. Facing the known was not scary. What was scary was the unknown. The 2 of you, follow me. Feng Juntian said as he turned and walked out of the door. Fengwu and Cho Ruoshue followed him obediently. Brother Juntian, where are we going? Cho Ruoshue chased after them and asked. We are going to the cave where you guys told the story. Feng Juntian said without turning his head. The 3 of them spent a lot of effort and finally arrived at the cave on the path of Autumn Mountain. After the 3 of them entered, Cho Ruoshue immediately noticed that the cave was different. Strange, what is this thing below? It was not here the last time we were here. Cho Ruoshue swept away the straw blocking the way and immediately discovered the black array below. If someone had not moved the straw first, Cho Ruoshue definitely would not have discovered that there was a magic array hidden under the straw. Feng Juntian carefully inspected the magic array. This magic array was very strange. He had never seen such a magic array before. The entire magic array was black. Just looking at it gave off a gloomy feeling. Just based on the feeling, he felt that this magic array was not something good. It was very likely an evil magic array. 5 of the girls who came with Fengwu and the others had died in a short time. Could their deaths be related to this magic array? Feng Juntian found a piece of paper and drew out the magic array stroke by stroke. He did not understand what kind of magic array it was, but there was bound to be someone who could understand it. As long as they understood the mysteries of this magic array, Xiao Wu would definitely be fine. Feng Juntian finished drawing the magic array diagram and was about to leave. He did not expect that just as he walked to the door, he would see a girl rushing over. The person who came was Irene. The last time she came here to look for something, she had dropped her things here. This time, she came back to look for it. She did not expect to meet someone here. Xiao Wu. Irene did not expect to meet Fengwu in a place like this. Irene. Fengwu was also surprised to see Irene. You know her? Feng Juntian asked Fengwu. Classmate. Fengwu said. Classmate again. Thinking about Norville, who was still at home, she hoped that there would not be any troublesome people coming this time. Chapter 531. Irene also curiously sized up the man in front of her. Although she didn't know who he was, he seemed to be very familiar with Fengwu. Could he be a relative of Fengwu's? So Miss Irene is Xiao Wu's classmate. I am Xiao Wu's older brother, Feng Juntian. Miss Irene has taken care of my younger sister in school. Feng Juntian looked at Irene with a serious expression as he spoke. Irene believed that the two of them must be blood-related siblings. Both of them had stoic faces, one more expressionless than the other. However, she said, "You're too kind. Xiao Wu has also taken care of me a lot." "May I know why Miss Irene has come here?" Feng Juntian asked without batting an eyelid. "She rushed here in such a hurry. Could it be that it had something to do with the array diagram in the cave?" I accidentally left something in this cave a few days ago. I remembered it today and rushed here to look for it," Irene said. "Is this what you left?" Feng Juntian was holding a round pearl in his hand. This pearl was snow-white and was the size of an egg. The pearl emitted a gentle white light around it. When the 5 elemental magic energy came into contact with this pearl, it would be absorbed by the pearl. All kinds of strange phenomena showed that this pearl was definitely not an ordinary item. "My demon-gathering orb!" Erin exclaimed in surprise. This demon-gathering pearl was a magic tool that she had recently obtained. Normally, she could gather the 5-element spirit chi into this pearl. When she was in battle, it could ensure that the magic power in her body would not be exhausted. It was a rare auxiliary magic tool. She had just obtained this pearl a few days ago. She had kept it on her body and hadn't had the time to move it into her space. She didn't expect that she would lose this magic tool after coming to this cave. Irene had searched all the places she had been before, and this cave was the only place she hadn't searched. She didn't expect that she would really lose it here. Moreover, it was Fengwu's older brother who had found it. "This bead is not bad. It is a rare support-type magic tool. Use it well in the future. It will be of great help to you." Feng Juntian wasn't a greedy person, and swordmasters never relied on external items. Although the demon-gathering pearl was useful to swordmasters, Feng Juntian wouldn't go as far as to take someone else's demonic weapon for himself just for a demonic weapon. "Thank you, Brother Feng." Taking the demon-gathering pearl from Feng Juntian, Xiao Chen sighed inwardly. As expected of the successor of a super family, Feng Juntian's vision was truly extraordinary. He had even returned such a precious demon-gathering pearl just like that. If it were anyone else, let alone returning it, they probably wouldn't even acknowledge it. "I heard from young Miss Irene that you came here a few days ago," Feng Juntian asked. "Big Brother Feng, just call me Irene." "I did come here a few days ago." There was nothing to hide, so Irene nodded and admitted. "Then I wonder if you, Irene, have seen the array diagram drawn on the ground in the cave? Why are you asking about the soul sacrifice array?" Irene didn't expect him to ask this, so she replied without thinking. The moment she said that, she realized that she had said the wrong thing. She shouldn't have recognized the soul sacrifice array. If she said the name of the array now, she was afraid that if something happened in the future, she would be blamed for the deaths caused by the soul sacrifice array. Wouldn't she be wrongly accused then? However, it was too late to change her mind now. Feng Juntian wasn't the only one who heard what she said. Even Fengwu and Qiu Ruoshui heard it. "You really recognize the array inside? What the hell is this array? Is it related to you? Are you related to an N and the others' deaths? Hurry up and tell me, answer me." Without waiting for Feng Juntian to ask, Qiu Ruoshui took a big step forward and shook Irene's shoulder. Irene was dizzy from her shaking and swatted her hand away. Feng Juntian felt that Irene was a little rash. They still couldn't be sure if Irene was related to this matter, so it was a little too much for her to rush up and question her like this. Thus, he held Qiu Ruoshui's shoulders with both hands and held her in place, not allowing her to rush up again. "Big Brother Juntian, let go of me. I must get to the bottom of this today. Let go of me," Qiu Ruoshui shouted as she struggled. "All right, Calm down. Let me do the asking, Feng Juntian said in a low voice. Qiu Ruoshui was still a little afraid of Feng Juntian, so she obediently shut her mouth and didn't dare to speak anymore. Seeing that she had calmed down, Feng Juntian let go of the hands he used to hold Qiu Ruoshui in place and stood with his hands behind his back. Irene, how did you know the name of the array in the cave? Feng Juntian didn't know what the array was, but Irene did. This made people think deeply. Feng Juntian was born in the Feng clan, which was a superpower. He was also one of the young and promising Star generals. Logically speaking, Feng Juntian's knowledge should be higher than Irene's. But now, facing this array, Feng Juntian couldn't see anything. Instead, a junior student from Notre Dame du Starlight was able to see through it. No matter how one looked at it, there was something fishy about it. Actually, it was a coincidence that I knew about the array. A year ago, I was fortunate enough to explore the tomb of an ancient magician. That magician just happened to be an array master. I found a book in that tomb that recorded the blueprints of several forbidden arrays from ancient times. At that time, I felt that if those blueprints fell into the hands of others, it would be a disaster, so I burned the blueprints after reading it once. I didn't expect that a few days ago, when I was passing by Autumn Mountain, I coincidentally entered this cave and found the array on the ground. The moment I saw the array, I could tell that it was a forbidden array from ancient times, the soul-sacrificing array. Although it was hard to verify whether Irene's words were true or false, Feng Juntian still felt that there was no need for her to lie. He was afraid that the array drawn here really had nothing to do with her. However, this girl came to Autumn Mountain alone and just happened to find the array. She even knew what kind of array it was. Wasn't this all too much of a coincidence? Although Feng Juntian's suspicions hadn't been dispelled, he didn't show it. Instead, he continued to ask. You said that this is the soul-sacrificing array. What is the use of this array? Irene thought about it and said, just the soul-sacrificing array alone is useless. This array needs to awaken a treasure from the underworld to be effective. What is it? Feng Juntian asked. The Death God's Wishing Stone. What's that? Qiu Ruoshui stood at the side and listened. Although she didn't completely believe Irene, she wasn't as agitated as before. Fengwu stood obediently at the side and didn't ask any questions. She just listened. It was no wonder that they didn't know. If she hadn't read the original text, she wouldn't have known that there really was a method of exchanging a life for a life in this world. She also wouldn't have known that there was such an evil treasure as the Death God's Wishing Stone in this world. The Death God's Wishing Stone is a stone that the Death God left behind in the human world. However, this stone is very unusual. It is a stone that contains the Stone God's divine power. Anyone who obtains this wishing stone can make a wish and use it to revive anyone who wants to be revived. Chapter 533. It was just that they didn't know when the Grim Reaper's divine sense would appear and harm Qiu Ruoshui and Fengwu. Feng Juntian and Qiu Ruobai thought of destroying the magic formation to prevent the Grim Reaper's divine sense from coming. Unfortunately, Irene, who had read the original text, clearly told them that it was useless. The Grim Reaper's divine sense had already arrived, but he hadn't done anything yet. When the 7 of them died, the divine sense would naturally disappear, and there was no need to report back. So, it was already too late to destroy the magic formation now. Before Fengwu went to bed at night, she honestly told Ming-Shi everything. Ming-Shi was inexplicably shocked and worried. Ming-Shi only told Fengwu to wait for him and turned off the communication crystal. Fengwu fell asleep happily. Thinking that Ming-Shi was coming, she was happy and didn't feel that she was being targeted by the Grim Reaper at all. This night passed very slowly. The Feng family and Qiu family didn't dare to sleep. Now, the strongest person in the Qiu family was not here, and the elders were all in seclusion. Unless something big happened that would endanger the Feng family's 1,000 years of foundation, the elders wouldn't appear. For Qiu Ruoshui, the possibility of them appearing was not big. Now, they could only stay in the Feng family and stay with the Feng family. At least, Master Feng, the Sword Saint, and the Feng family head were strong. With them around, they could stop the Grim Reaper. The Feng family didn't care too much about the Chiu family's thoughts. They just stated that if anything happened to Chiu Ruoxue in the Feng family, the Chiu family wouldn't bite back. Madame Lan was unhappy. What did they mean by bite back? Who did they think they were? But for her daughter, she endured it. Originally, she planned to wait for her husband to come back and ask for an explanation if anything happened to her daughter in the Feng family. She didn't expect that the Feng family would directly block her path. The Feng and Chiu clans didn't dare to sleep, and neither could Ming Shi. After ending the call with Fangwu, Ming Shi didn't delay and immediately informed Moon Emperor that he would be leaving the Silver Moon Kingdom. However, he would be back as soon as possible. When Ming Shi suddenly said that he wanted to leave, it gave Moon King and Moon Empress a fright. Where do you want to go? Your hand still needs to recuperate for a few months. Your hand is so badly injured. Where else do you want to go? The Moon Empress thought that her son was still angry with her and was worried about her son's health. She felt bitter in her heart. Your mother is right. Your body hasn't fully recovered yet. If there's anything urgent, you can ask someone else to do it for you. If you're in the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, you can always find someone to help you. The Moon Emperor did not approve of his son going out at this time. Ming Shi's hands were seriously injured. The heavenly official and the priest came out together, and it was not easy to save his arms. The last time he went out, his hand injury relapsed. He didn't dare to let his son go out again. Father, mother, I have something important to do. I must leave. Time is tight, so I can't say more. Wait for me to come back and I will tell you in detail. Ming Shi bowed deeply and ignored his parents' calls. He immediately took Skycliff to the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom's teleportation formation and went to the ancient Eastern Kingdom. The Moon Emperor and Moon Empress couldn't stop their son in time. They could only watch as their son left. After Ming Shi left, the Moon Emperor asked someone to ask about Ming Shi's whereabouts. In the end, the guard guarding the teleportation formation said that Ming Shi went to the ancient Eastern Kingdom. As for why Ming Shi went to the ancient Eastern Kingdom, the Moon Emperor and Moon Empress didn't know. Fengwu was playing with little Yi in her room. She didn't know what was going on outside. Bao Bao stayed at home to play with little Yi. The two of them were playing happily. After knowing that Fengwu was plotted against so viciously, Bao Bao didn't feel good. Which B***Tsich dared to ask for his master. Bao Bao immediately used his natural ability to divine. When he saw that there was nothing wrong, he was relieved. That was the god of death's divine sense. Although the god of death was only a god in the underworld, he didn't come out. But the god of death's divine sense was undeniably strong. In the human world, other than Star Hall and Notre Dame du Starlight, who else could stop it? Maybe the four great emperors could. Although the four great emperors weren't orthodox gods, they had the bloodline of the god prince. This bloodline was more noble than many gods. If one of the four great emperors made a move, it wasn't impossible to stop it. However, whether it was the four great emperors or the Star Hall and Notre Dame du Starlight, it wasn't very realistic. Those people weren't people who could be invited just because they wanted to. If Ming Shi wasn't injured, he could come and try. But Ming Shi hadn't officially inherited the position of emperor and hadn't been baptized by the moonlight. His ability couldn't be compared to the four great emperors. Other than these people, who else could it be? Bao Bao rubbed his chin and thought. When he saw Little Bun rubbing his eyes on the bed, his eyes lit up. Wasn't there a good candidate? Who could be stronger than this little guy? Although he was still young and less than 1/1,000,000th of his heyday, it wasn't impossible to deal with the god of death's divine sense. Thinking of this, Bao Bao flew to Little Bun's ear with a sneaky smile and chatted for a while. Little Bun finally nodded with a serious face. He didn't know what agreement these two little cute things had reached. The Fengwu girl didn't know anything about all this. She sat alone by the window, waiting for Ming Shi's arrival. Ming Shi's movements were very fast. It only took him 2 hours to arrive at Fengwu's door. Late at night, the servants of the Feng family were already asleep. The door was locked. Ming Shi didn't want to disturb the Feng family, so he secretly entered the Feng family. However, Ming Shi didn't know that in order to prevent the god of death's divine sense from coming, the Feng family had specially activated all the defensive formations. Although this formation might not be able to defend against anything, it was good to have a psychological comfort. As soon as Ming Shi entered the backyard, this formation was activated. In just a few breaths, two powerful auras locked onto Ming Shi, and attacks came one after another. Ming Shi immediately knew that the two people who came were probably the two strongest people in the Feng family, Feng Wuliu and Feng Tianqing. How could they come so quickly? Ming Shi was a little surprised, but his reaction wasn't slow and he dodged the attacks of the two people. At this time, Skycliff rushed over and protected Ming Shi behind him. He didn't want him to attack again to prevent the injury on his hand from worsening. Elder Feng, and the Feng family, I'm sorry to disturb you so late at night. I've disturbed your rest. Ming Shi let Skycliff retreat to the side. He had seen these two people before. Just now, he thought that they didn't recognize him. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't attack him. Ming Shi guessed correctly. The Feng father and son really didn't recognize him. They would never have dreamed that the future Moon Emperor of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom would sneak into their Feng family's backyard instead of the main entrance. Chapter 534. He had seen these two people before. They probably didn't recognize him just now. Otherwise, they would never fight with him. Ming Shi really guessed it right. The Feng father and son really didn't recognize him. They probably never dreamed that the future Moon Emperor of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom would sneak into their Feng family's backyard instead of going through the front door. Prince Ming Shi. Under the faint moonlight, Feng Wuliu and Feng Tianqing finally saw the appearance of the person in front of them. Isn't this person Prince Ming Shi whom we met last time? Feng Zi and Feng Tianqing were surprised. Fortunately, the father and son were not ordinary people. They quickly restrained their emotions and respectfully bowed to Ming Shi. We didn't know your highness was here. Feng family didn't welcome you. I came suddenly. It has nothing to do with the Feng family. Ming Shi said. The Feng father and son were curious about Ming Shi's intention. Ming Shi was also hesitating about how to explain to the Feng father and son why he came to this place. Skycliff stood quietly on the side as if what happened now had nothing to do with him. As long as the Feng father and son didn't threaten Ming Shi's safety, he didn't care about other things. The Feng father and son were still talking to Ming Shi in the backyard. In Feng Wu's room, a mysterious figure suddenly appeared that no one noticed. Only a rough outline of this figure could be seen. It could be seen that he was wearing a black cloak and holding a huge scythe as tall as a person. His whole body was hidden under the cloak. When he raised his head, he could only see a cloud of black mist under the cloak. He couldn't even see a human figure. Needless to say, this figure was the god of death's divine sense. This divine sense wasn't here to kill Feng Wu, but to kill Qiu Ruoshui. Qiu Ruoshui didn't dare to stay alone because she heard the movement just now. She went to Feng Wu's room and didn't go out no matter what. Feng Wu just pretended not to see her. She sat on the bed and played happily with Little Bun. The Grim Reaper appeared and disappeared from Feng Wu's room in less than a breath of time. It was as if he had never appeared. Not long after the Grim Reaper left, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and it began to rain heavily. The rain came suddenly, and the sound of lightning and thunder could be heard incessantly. Qiu Ruoshui was so scared that her face turned pale. She remembered the story she told. Wasn't the main character of the story struck to death by lightning? The Grim Reaper had come to take her away. That must be it. That must be it. The Grim Reaper is coming to take me away. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Save me. Save me, Feng Wu. I don't want to die. Brother, where are you? Where are you? Qiu Ruoshui was so scared that she threw herself on Feng Wu's bed. She lifted the quilt and wrapped herself up. She hid under the quilt and cried. Chou Ruoxue had always been an arrogant girl. She was not a girl who liked to cry. However, what she was facing now was too terrible. She was terrified. She was afraid that the Grim Reaper would really come to take her away. She was afraid that she would become one of those people when she thought of the death of others. Chou Ruoxue thought of Ning Bai, who had put her in this situation. Ning Bai was her best friend when she was young. She had always cherished this friendship. However, Ning Bai betrayed her childhood friend without hesitation for a man. If the person Chou Ruoxue hated most before was Fengwu, then Ning Bai was honored to push Fengwu down from the top of Chou Ruoxue's blacklist in her heart. Chou Ruoxue's character was very extreme. It could be said that she wanted someone to live if she loved someone, and she wanted someone to die if she hated someone. This kind of hatred made her hate someone to death. Now, Chou Ruoxue hated Ning Bai to death. When they were in Mount Chou Ruoxue still had many doubts, puzzles, and doubts. However, after various investigations, it was proved that the person who had hurt them was Ning Bai. Some people even saw Ning Bai go to Mount Chou alone 2 days before the 8 of them went to Mount Chou. She stayed there for a long time before coming down. Ning Bai's fiancé's body also disappeared mysteriously. Her fiancé's family also failed to find him after searching for a long time. It caused a big sensation in the local area. When Ning Bai's fiancé's body disappeared, some people even saw Ning Bai go to the graveyard. With all these things added together, Chou Ruoxue couldn't find an excuse for Ning Bai even if she wanted to. All these proved that Ning Bai was the one who had hurt them, which made Chou Ruoxue unable to suppress the hatred in her heart. She was sincere to Ning Bai and treated her as her best friend. However, she had never thought that she would be set up like this. She hated Ning Bai as a friend as much as she liked her in the past. Chou Ruoxue hid in the corner nervously. She cried and cursed Ning Bai in her heart. How could she set up her best friend like this? Fengwu hid on the other side with little Bun in her arms. She glanced at Chou Ruoxue curiously, wondering why she was so agitated. It was raining heavily. The lightning in the sky seemed to be incessant. The whole sky was lit up by the lightning as if it was daytime. The lightning was also very interesting. They were all concentrated in the sky above the Feng family. Such a strange scene certainly attracted some people's attention. Many people were paying attention to the situation in the Feng family. They were curious about what the Feng family was doing and why they attracted so much lightning. Could it be that the Feng family had gotten some treasure again? It couldn't be an ordinary treasure since it could attract so much lightning. What could it be? No matter how curious the people outside were, the Feng family was on high alert. The rain suddenly fell. The father and son of the Feng family didn't have time to say anything to Ming Shi. They immediately moved to the courtyard where Fengwu lived. Ming Shi was afraid that something would happen to Fengwu, so he followed them. The father and son of the Feng family also had time to care about whether Ming Shi followed or left. Now there was nothing more important than Fengwu's safety. The mother and son of the Chou family also rushed to Fengwu's room. Seeing Chou Ruoxue on Fengwu's bed, they were relieved. They had heard the story that Chou Ruoxue told. They were afraid that such a big lightning was aimed at Chou Ruoxue this time. However, as long as Chou Ruoxue didn't get out of this room, no lightning could hit her sister. It was just that they didn't expect that the power of the death god was not so easy to escape. Chou Ruoxue suddenly lifted the quilt as if she couldn't control her body. She didn't even wear shoes and wanted to run out of Fengwu's room barefoot. Of course, Madame Chou and Chou Ruobai couldn't let her go out. They immediately tried to grab Chou Ruoxue, who didn't know what happened. Who knew that Chou Ruoxue seemed to be full of strength at this time. She pushed Chou Ruobai and Madame Chou against the doorframe. The mother and son of the Chou family didn't care whether they were injured or not and chased after her. As soon as Chou Ruoxue came out of the room, she rushed into the courtyard. Chapter 535. The Feng father and son who were rushing over saw a woman's figure running in the rain. The place she was running to was the place where the lightning was the most concentrated. Because the rain was too heavy, they didn't have time to confirm the woman's identity and only wanted to stop her. Feng Tianqing made the first move and grabbed Qiu Ruoshui's shoulder with one hand. He thought it would be enough to stop Qiu Ruoshui, but who knew that as soon as he put his hand on her shoulder, he seemed to be bounced back by something. He couldn't even hold on for a moment and retreated several steps. Seeing this, Feng Wuliu immediately rushed up and circulated all the dou qi in his body, wanting to stop her. However, it was still to no avail. Feng Wuliu's dou qi seemed to have hit something the moment it touched Qiu Ruoshui's body. It directly bounced back towards him. Fortunately, Feng Wuliu only wanted to stop her and didn't want to kill her. Therefore, under his intentional resistance, he only retreated 5 steps and didn't suffer any injuries. When Lady Qiu and the others chased over, they just happened to see Feng Wuliu being forced back. Then, Qiu Ruoshui actually leaped towards the sky. At the same time, a bolt of lightning was about to land on her body. Ming Shi had been following behind Feng Wuliu and the others, so he naturally saw what happened. When no one could stop Qiu Ruoshui, Ming Shi made his move. He immediately tossed out a defensive demonic artifact. This demonic artifact was no ordinary artifact. Moon the Arch had specially found it for Ming Shi to protect herself. It was made by a famous master alchemist from the Yinyu ancient nation. That master wasn't young anymore. Every work he made was a rare treasure. If it wasn't for Moon Emperor's sincere request, that master probably wouldn't have bought it. Ming Shi threw out his defensive magic tool and blocked the lightning for Qiu Ruoshui. However, it was useless. After blocking it, the lightning didn't disperse. Instead, it seemed like it wouldn't stop until it killed Qiu Ruoshui. One after another, it struck Qiu Ruoshui. Ming Shi's defensive magic tool was a treasure, but it was also consumed like this. After withstanding several lightning strikes, spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the magic tool. Anyone with discerning eyes could see that this magic tool wouldn't be able to hold on for long. At this time, Qiu Ruobai and Madame Qiu immediately threw over their protective magic tools, hoping to help Qiu Ruoshui. With the protection of Qiu Ruoshui's 2 magic tools, Qiu Ruoshui didn't suffer too much damage after Ming Shi's magic tool shattered. But this wasn't a solution. He couldn't keep throwing magic tools to protect Qiu Ruoshui. No matter how many magic tools he had, he wouldn't be able to protect such a protector. Magic tools would eventually be used up, and Qiu Ruoshui would still die at that time. If they could not solve the problem at its root, Qiu Ruoshui's death would only be a matter of time. Save my mother and brother, save me, I don't want to die. Qiu Ruoshui had already woken up when she was struck by lightning. She didn't know how she ran over from Feng Wu's room. When she came back to her senses, she was already like this. Qiu Ruoshui, who had been pampered since she was young, had never seen such a scene. She was so scared that she almost fainted. She could only keep asking her family for help, hoping that they could save her. Even if no one told her about her current situation, she knew how dangerous it was. She was really scared. She didn't want to die, she didn't want to die. How could Madame Qiu and her son not want to save her? She was their own daughter, sister. But in this situation, how could they save her just because they wanted to? Madame Qiu, who had always been strong, was already scared to tears, but she still couldn't do anything. She could only watch as the lightning struck Qiu Ruoshui. The scene of lightning striking down shocked all the major families in the imperial city. What happened to the Qiu family? Why was there lightning striking down? A woman wearing dark green clothes stood on the peak of Qiu Mountain. She looked at the Feng family surrounded by lightning with a smile. She was in a good mood and had an incomparably sweet smile on her lips. Soon, there's one more. We won't be able to reunite soon. The lightning struck all night. It wasn't until dawn that the thunderstorm dissipated. The thunderstorm was as strange as when it came. It dissipated without any warning. The Feng family did their best to save Qiu Ruoshui. They wasted more than 40 magic tools in one night to keep Qiu Ruoshui alive. This account would definitely be settled when the head of the Qiu family came back. Qiu Ruoshui was not a member of the Feng family. The Feng family would not bleed so much for an outsider. After this hellish night, Qiu Ruoxue finally kept her life for the time being. But it was not certain how long this life would last. After what happened last night, it could be said that everyone in the Feng family was in a state of panic. Everything that happened last night was too strange. The thunder and lightning tormented the entire night. If the servants of the Feng family were not warned not to leave the room, they would have already run out to see the situation. Feng Wu stayed in her room for the whole night. She did not know what happened to Qiu Ruoxue last night. Her brother had been in the room with her and told her not to worry about anything. She just needed to rest well. The obedient Feng Wu girl hugged Xiao Yi and slept in the room. Although the noise outside was so loud that it could kill, Feng Wu could still sleep soundly by covering her ears with half of her breath. When Feng Wu woke up, the first person she saw was not her son Feng Yi or her brother Feng Juntian who had been accompanying her, but Ming Shi whom she had been missing. Feng Wu blinked her big eyes. Dreaming. She rubbed her eyes foolishly and wondered if she had not woken up yet. Amused, Ming Shi pulled down Feng Wu's hand and gently pinched her fair face. Does it hurt? In order to not really hurt her, Ming Shi pinched very lightly. It doesn't hurt, Feng Wu said and then suddenly said, So, I'm dreaming. Feng Wu girl came to this conclusion and then stared at the dreamer in front of her with sparkling eyes. Feng Wu had also dreamed of Ming Shi before, but the Ming Shi in the dream did not feel so real. In such a realistic dream, Feng Wu girl was so interested that she touched Ming Shi's face with her small hands. What a realistic dream, Feng Wu said seriously after touching Ming Shi's face. Do you want to kiss me? Ming Shi had the intention to tease her. Kiss. Feng Wu thought about how Ming Shi had touched her lips before. She always remembered that numbing feeling. Should she kiss him? Feng Wu was a little hesitant, but she only hesitated for a short while before making up her mind. Yes. She nodded, her gaze extremely serious. Ming Shi found it funny and took the initiative to move his face closer. Feng Wu pursed her lips and kissed Ming Shi's lips. Just as she was about to move away, Ming Shi locked Feng Wu in his arms and deepened the kiss. Feng Wu was kissed until her head was dizzy. She secretly thought that this dream was amazing. Chapter 536. Ahem. It was unknown when Feng Juntian had walked in with a dark expression. The little sister that he had raised with great difficulty was about to be snatched away by a wolf. Feng Juntian was in an extremely bad mood. Prince Ming Shi, grandfather invites you to the front hall. Feng Juntian was practically gritting his teeth as he spat out the word, Xiang. Towards this bastard who wanted to kidnap his little sister, no matter what his status was, he could forget about giving him a good attitude. Ming Shi had already let go of Feng Wu when he sensed that someone had come in. However, Feng Juntian had still seen the scene of him kissing the little thing in his arms. Feng Wu opened her large misty eyes, somewhat unable to understand what was going on. Why had Big Brother also entered her dream? Big Brother? Feng Wu's black eyes were filled with confusion. Feng Juntian walked to the side and pushed Ming Shi away without a trace. Then, he sat by the bed and stroked Feng Wu's head. I've already asked Qing to bring little Yi to mother. You must not have slept well last night. If you're still tired, sleep a little longer. Big Brother will keep watch outside the door. When speaking to his little sister, Feng Juntian, who had always appeared cold and hard in front of outsiders, actually spoke so gently. This caused those who had seen Feng Juntian before to drop their jaws in shock. I'm hungry. Rubbing her eyes, Feng Wu finally confirmed that she was not dreaming. She rubbed her flat little stomach and said pitifully, Big Brother has already asked someone to prepare your favorite breakfast. Do you want someone to bring it over now? Feng Juntian stroked Feng Wu's head, his eyes filled with affection. Ming Shi. Was he being ignored? And Feng Wu nodded her head heavily. Feng Wu's gaze involuntarily drifted to Ming Shi. Ming Shi smiled faintly, his smile filled with gentleness and affection. You eat first. I'll come find you later, Ming Shi said. Okay. Feng Wu nodded obediently. Ming Shi left Feng Wu's room with satisfaction and went to the hall to look for her. After watching Ming Shi leave, Feng Wu looked at her big brother eagerly, begging him to feed her. This cute little look almost melted her big brother's heart. At the same time, he made up his mind to keep Xiao Wu for a few more years. He couldn't let Ming Shi marry her so easily. His sister was still very young. In the hall, Feng Wuliu and Feng Tianqing were already sitting there waiting for Ming Shi. Last night, everyone was exhausted. After a whole night of work, everyone was tired and hungry. Before Feng Wu woke up, the Feng family had ordered the servants to make a table full of food to replenish their energy. When Ming Shi ate with everyone, he expressed that he and Feng Wu were currently in a relationship. Feng Wuliu still remembered how stupid his reaction was when Ming Shi said that he and Feng Wu were lovers. Even in his dreams, he would never have thought that his granddaughter, who had never been a talent, would attract the attention of the future Moon Emperor of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. This Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom was one of the 4 great empires. Prince Ming Shi's taste wasn't low. Why would he take a fancy to his granddaughter? Pei. What was he thinking? Feng Wuliu's granddaughter was naturally very good. The bad reputation in the past was just some shameless slander. His family's Xiao Wu was very good. Although he made some psychological preparations in his heart, Feng Wuliu still didn't think that Ming Shi would really take a fancy to Feng Wu. After all, no matter how the bad reputation came about, Xiao Wu's bad reputation was a fact. Even he, her grandfather, couldn't change this fact. The Feng family was suspecting whether this prince, who had always been clean and honest, really liked Feng Wu or if it was just a spur of the moment. If it wasn't true, with his identity as the Prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, it really wasn't suitable to associate with Feng Wu. With Feng Wu's temperament, if she went to the imperial family, he was really afraid that something would happen. Although Feng Wu was a lot more well-behaved now, he was still worried. Feng Tianqing was also worried. That was his daughter. He had raised her since she was a little girl. Although his daughter wasn't close to him since she was young, she was still his daughter. There was no reason not to dote on her. Feng Wu was a woman who had given birth to a child. Although the child's identity wasn't ordinary, outsiders didn't know about it. The Elf King's identity definitely couldn't be spread. In the eyes of outsiders, Feng Wu naturally wasn't worthy of the outstanding Ming Shi. If his daughter really got together with Ming Shi, how much pressure would she have to bear? Thinking about Xiao Wu's sensitive and somewhat sharp temperament since she was young, although it was a lot better now, who knew if it would change back? With her temperament, would it be possible for her to marry into the imperial family? Feng Tianqing was very doubtful. After Ming Shi explained his relationship with Feng Wu, he went to accompany Feng Wu. He didn't even give them a chance to ask clearly. The father and son endured for a long time, but in the end, they couldn't hold it in anymore. They called Feng Juntian to invite him out of Feng Wu's room. This time, Ming Shi entered the hall and talked for a long time with the father and son of the Feng family. In the end, the father and son still came to an agreement. Children and grandchildren had their own fortune. Feng Wu had her own choice, and they couldn't break up the affectionate couple. When they thought of this, the father and son each held a gift from Ming Shi. They couldn't be more satisfied. The old man liked wine. She gave him a moonlight cup. This moonlight cup wasn't an ordinary cup. As long as this cup was placed under the moonlight would shine into the cup and the cup would automatically brew wine. Feng Tianqing liked famous swords. Although a swordmaster would only use one sword in their life and it was useless to have more, Feng Tianqing liked to collect famous swords. He collected these famous swords just like how some people like to collect stamps. This was a kind of pleasure. Feng Tianqing had this kind of pleasure since he was young. Although Feng Tianqing liked to collect famous swords, he wouldn't let these swords gather dust in his collection room. When he met a suitable sword owner, he would give the swords he collected to that person without taking a single cent. As a swordmaster, the thing he couldn't bear the most was to have a famous sword gather dust. He also couldn't bear to see a good sword fall into the hands of someone who wasn't worthy of using it. The sword Ming she gave him was a collection of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. It was also one of the famous swords passed down from generation to generation. It would be strange if Feng Tianqing wasn't happy to receive such a big gift. Although the two of them later agreed to Ming Shi and Feng Wu's matter, part of the reason was because of these two delightful gifts. However, the main reason was that Ming Shi showed them his sincerity. His eyes and the sincerity in his words let them know that Ming Shi was serious about being with Feng Wu. No matter what the future would be, since these two young people had already decided and Feng Wu didn't oppose, they would let them try. If the people of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom didn't accept Xiao Wu, they would bring Xiao Wu back home and find another suitable marriage for her. Chapter 537. No matter what would happen in the future, since the two young people had made up their minds and Feng Wu didn't object, they would let them have a try. If the people of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom didn't accept Xiao Wu, they would take Xiao Wu home and find her a suitable marriage. That was what the father and son had planned. After the discussion, they called Ming Shi and took the things back to the room. They hid them on the last floor of the collection room for fear that they would be taken away. Although the god of death didn't take Qiu Ruoxue away last night, it didn't mean that he wouldn't do it tonight. Ever since Qiu Ruoxue was rescued, she had become a frightened bird. After such a big thing happened, Master Qiu had to come out of his closed-door training. When Master Qiu knew that such a big thing happened to his granddaughter, he hated Ning Bai's family. But now was not the time to talk about this. It was more important to find Ning Bai first. However, Ning Bai was too good at hiding. So many people had been looking for her in the city for so long, but there was no news at all. Yesterday, Qiu Ruoxue made such a big scene in the Feng family. Master Qiu couldn't let Qiu Ruoxue stay here anymore. Qiu Ruoxue had the same idea. How could she stay in someone else's house all the time? After thanking them solemnly, the Qiu family said that they would compensate for the loss of the Feng family. Qiu Ruoxue was taken back to the Qiu family and was closely protected. Master Qiu went to the palace to invite a necromancer to help just in case. He was afraid that there would be something that humans couldn't deal with. Master Qiu was not the only one who did this. Master Feng also invited a necromancer who had a good relationship with him. This necromancer was not young. He had white hair and a beard, but his eyes looked kind and kind. He was a very energetic old man. Irene also came to see this necromancer with Madame Lan. She felt that this necromancer was probably a very powerful person. Although his aura was very peaceful, there was a terrifying aura in the piece. Sure enough, necromancers were not to be trifled with. Norville didn't show up. Although he felt that something big had happened in the Feng family, it was obvious that they didn't want him to know. He wasn't a person who had to get to the bottom of it. When it was time to avoid it, he consciously avoided it. This necromancer was warmly welcomed by the Feng family. Dealing with spirits like this had to be left to the professionals. Although the Grim Reaper was a god, to put it nicely, the Grim Reaper's basic form was still in the form of an undead. Therefore, when facing the Grim Reaper, it was still useful to find a necromancer. When the old magician found out that it was the Grim Reaper who had come to take Feng Wu's life, he asked a lot of questions, but he didn't say anything about quitting and looking for someone else. This made the Feng family very grateful for the great help of this master. Irene only found out after coming to this world that necromancers were very different from the ones written in the novels. In the magic novels she read before, necromancers were so skinny that they were only skin and bones. Their temperament was eccentric, and the staff in their hands was made of skeletons. They were often covered in a black cloak, and when they used necromancy magic, a black power would fly out and turn people into a pile of bones. In fact, necromancy magic was not so exaggerated. The necromancy magic in this world was divided into black magic and white magic. White magicians helped the undead to fulfill their wishes, purify the undead and help them reincarnate. They also contracted the undead to increase their strength. Every contract space of a white magician was very precious. They couldn't contract the undead indefinitely. Only some gifted spirits could arouse the interest of a white magician, and the contract could only be completed with the consent of the other party's spirit. As for black magicians, they often refined bone soldiers and undead armies in order to pursue great power. This was very outrageous. Although this could bring them power, it also had serious side effects. Black magicians tended to have short lifespans, and they had to endure the corrosion of necromancy all year round. If it wasn't for people with great hatred, no one would give up the path of white magic and become a black magician. The terrible existence of black magicians could be said to be the public enemy of the continent. Irene had been here for so long, but she had only heard of it once. She had never seen it at all. Now that she had met a powerful necromancer, Irene asked a lot of questions out of curiosity, and this powerful necromancer answered them patiently. Just as the book said, those who could become necromancers weren't bad people. Of course, there were some exceptions. No matter which profession it was on the continent, they wouldn't dare to say that they were all good people. Necromancers were no exception. While the people outside were frantically searching for Ning Bai, the necromancer named Ibelin told them a lot of basic necromancy knowledge. He also told them a lot about the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper was a deity in charge of the life and death of humans. This deity had no emotions. The Grim Reaper had a book of death in his hand. The Book of Death would clearly record the time and method of death of all humans. In principle, the Grim Reaper didn't have to go out of his way to steal a human soul. After all, the Grim Reaper was a deity, and he wouldn't lower himself to steal a human soul. Therefore, in novels, the Grim Reaper harvesting a human soul with a sickle wouldn't appear in this world. This was because when a person's life ended was recorded in the Book of Death. As for dead souls, unless they had a powerful obsession in their hearts, they would be summoned by the underworld and take the initiative to enter the underworld. Therefore, the death god didn't need to personally bring souls to the underworld. Although the life and death of a human was determined at birth, it wasn't impossible to change one's fate. As long as one had the opportunity, they could change their fate and extend their life. In the realm of gods, there was a book called the Book of Fate. The Book of Fate recorded the fate of all humans. Unless someone could ascend to the realm of gods, their name would always be in the Book of Fate. The Book of Fate had always been in the hands of the God of Fate. It was said that this god liked to sleep the most, and when he woke up, he would read the fate of others in the book. He was a very interesting god. However, although the God of Fate was in charge of the Book of Fate, he would never change the fate of others. He would only read, but never interfere with the fate of others. No matter how miserable a person's fate was in the book, the God of Fate wouldn't care about it. Similarly, no matter how powerful a person's fate was in the Book of Fate, the God of Fate wouldn't care. The fate in the Book of Fate wasn't unchanging. Someone had once changed their fate in the Book of Fate, but that person didn't know about it. There were many examples like this. Unless that person could ascend to the realm of gods and meet the God of Fate, they would never know what their original fate was. As long as the fate was changed, the time of death would also be changed. Therefore, the Book of Death was actually affected by the Book of Fate. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.